What we're gonna do right here is go back into time.
Previously on the Rich Eisen Show.
Anybody that's out there that says players shouldn't go get theirs whenever they can, loyalty is a two-way street. Cam Newton, first overall selection of the Carolina Panthers, won an MVP, took the team to the Super Bowl, and now Cam's looking for a new team. In the same way that Bill O'Brien's basically telling everybody, I got a plan here, trust me, Matt Rule better be ready for the same thing in Carolina. If they don't win, fan base is going to be all over Matt Rule.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now.
Y'all ready for this?
Rich Eisen.
We need you, Tom. I beg you. I plead with you. Please, Mr. Brady. We got to get you, Tom.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
Quarterback careers are so fascinating.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Nick Foles, $1 gajillion in the free agent market this time last year.
My heart's pounding in my chest just to be a part of Jacksonville and be a part of this community.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
And now he's been traded to the Chicago Bears for a compensatory fourth-round selection.
Goodbye.
You got to get yours when you get yours.
Today's guests, ESPN NFL reporter Jeff Darlington, former All-Pro punter Pat McAfee, NFL Network analyst Willie McGinest, and now it's Rich Eisen.
Okay, everybody, welcome to this edition of the Rich Eisen Show. We're live on this loyal Rich Eisen Show radio affiliate, and also youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show is how you can watch us every single day between 12 and 3 Eastern. That we are here in our Los Angeles studio, and we welcome you to this program. Good to see you over there, Christopher.
Hey, buddy, what's happening?
And happy birthday, Mike Del Tufo.
Yes.
Yes. Mike's celebrating his 4th annual 50th birthday today, right?
It actually is the 4th annual 50th birthday, 54.
What's the VIP
What do you-
lanyard situation
Well,
tonight?
that's what's the,
I just got that, Rich. Rich, I'm slow today, Rich. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot.
It's okay.
There's a hand up.
You've been locked
I
up
get
in the
it.
you've been locked up in the
That's right,
condo and
54. Yes,
the,
I've been really locked up. So it's like I've been watching movies left and right.
what
like
you been watching?
Like I'm going crazy. Like I got Shawshank, which I've never watched. Waiting. I've started.
You've never seen Shawshank Redemption?
I got a lot of movies on deck. Like I'm literally. No, I never.
Chris, we've been.
That's a
I've
wormhole.
known
How
that- we've known him forever.
I know. It's a wormhole.
And how long have we talked about it?
Never. I got movies.
Tim Robbins was
Was
here
here.
like 3 weeks ago.
I know, and it's like I feel bad because I can't relate. I got him. I'm doing all the wormhole movies I have not watched.
Okay.
I did Hoosiers the other night.
Wow.
Which I loved. I'd never
You've
watched
never seen Hoosiers?
fully through. I never watched. I'm talking about fully through. Bits and pieces occasionally of them, but never like
Damn.
front to back.
talking about?
So we got to get you Goonies for Rich.
No, we're not.
Yeah, now we're talking.
See?
Now
I
we're
turned
talking.
it.
Welcome to this show. This is our first full day in the new league year in the NFL, and everybody, from what I'm hearing, Tom Brady is going to sign today. He's going to get that physical in New York City. Apparently, he
Looks
and
like
the Bucks have agreed that there's a doctor in New York City that it's cool with the Bucks. It's cool with Tom. That the physical that Tom's going to get is fine for the Bucks to go ahead and have Tom put his TB12 on a contract with TB and make this thing official.
Wow.
Apparently that's happening today.
I still can't believe
We'll
it.
see. Hold on a minute. Here's what I should do. I should say this. Plans to expected.
Yeah,
It's
right,
expected.
right,
I need
right,
to
right,
infuse this language.
right.
Well, Jeff Darlington, who's been all over the Tom Brady story since jump, is going to be our first guest in about 16 minutes time right here to have the conversation. And then Pat McAfee will be here. And I'll say this. Normally I send out texts to friends and who are on the show and say, hey, just a friendly reminder, I'm calling you. And I'm calling you at 1:20 Eastern time. He wrote back, boss man, AJ Hawk and I will both be on the phone when we talk to each other. Is that all right? Right?
Sweet.
I mean, as long as we can hear them and understand them both.
Absolutely.
So it looks like we got 2 for the price of 1 coming up.
Love it.
So long story short is McAfee is going to be joining us with AJ Hawk. And I will confirm that with Pat in our first commercial break. And then Willie McGinest in hour 3.
All right.
So I walk off the NFL Network set yesterday after another 3 hours of free agency frenzy. And I walk into, I honestly, when I've been in there now 3 straight days.
Yeah.
I may have, you're not supposed to be in a room with more than 10 people.
Right.
I may have interacted with fewer than 10 humans. I mean, they had it all. I walked into, they have it all worked out.
VIP entrance?
No, yeah. Actually, it's really odd. I've been walking in the same entrance for 16 years, and they stopped me and they told me to go 2 blocks around.
Right.
Was Kevin there?
And I'm like, don't Spike Lee me here, man.
You're going to side street, not Washington.
All right, good. That was a good one, Chris. That was a good one. No, I went into the same entrance, and then I get ready and I go into it's the room that was built for Deion Sanders to do his
nice.
21st in Prime show or the Game Day Prime show that he if you ball you get a call from him, and it's just me in the room, and they shut the door, and I walked in the room, and it was as if I was taking a headfirst dive into a bottle of bleach. I mean, the whole thing had been totally disinfected. But anyway, so I leave and I see in the green room Willie McGinest. I'm like, hey Willie, you free tomorrow? Yes, done. So look, Willie was the first guy, along with I guess Bledsoe, right? It was him and Bledsoe, defense and offense, that started the whole thing off in New England. That led to eventually Belichick coming. That led to Brady in the 20 years that is now. I mean, this is it. This is now.
Over.
A whole brave new world in New England, and Willie will be joining us in hour number 3 as we're keeping our eye on everything. 2 items in the NFL world of note here. One, it looks like Todd Gurley might be on the move here. Now, Mike Silver mentioned this on NFL Network on Monday, that Gurley was on the trading block. And I would love to know which team that would be. You know which team it would be if I would
you were
be
Todd
all
Gurley?
in. If I was Todd Gurley and if I was this team.
The Bucks.
I would say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be it. And if I'm the Bucks and I have this 2-3 year window with Tom Brady, and I've got Ronald Jones also to make sure that Gurley doesn't have to be the bell cow. And I got Ronald Jones, and I got Todd Gurley, and I've got Tom Brady, and I've got Mike Evans, and I've got Chris Godwin. My God, I'm going to work. Right? So if Gurley can't be the bell cow and can't go all 16 games, can't go more than, I guess, 12 games, if that's it, Ronald Jones was becoming quite the back, too, and that's a hell of a 1-2 punch.
Ronald Jones had 1,000 yards of total offense and 6 touchdowns last year.
And O.J. Howard is the guy there, too. Just draft some offensive line help and go to work.
Yeah, you can get a great offensive lineman right in the middle of the draft, 14.
You just got to take on Todd's big, huge contract.
Yep.
But you've got your window right now. You got Tom Brady till he doesn't want to play anymore. And you got Bruce Arians. You got this whole setup. Wouldn't you do that? If you're Tampa?
1,000%.
Right?
Also, Todd Gurley, 2 years younger than Ronald Jones. We think about Gurley as having all these issues injury-wise.
Right, he does.
Still younger than who they have now.
Oh, my word. Now I'm just throwing that. I really am just throwing that out there. I don't know if Tampa's even in the market or wants to do it or has the ability to do it. Or
Well, did you see Adam Schefter's Twitter this morning?
And that is what?
Adam Schefter said...
Are you going to do it as Caliendo as Schefter or Schefter as Schefter or just Brockman just reading it straight
I'm going
out?
to do Brockman reading
By the way, Frank
Schefter.
Caliendo, God bless him. But, I don't know.
He is destroying
Did you see
right
the
now.
video of the guy who put his bare butt up against the fire hydrant and he called it his Summerall and Madden? That literally made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Adam Schefter tweeting out this morning,
Yes.
since word surfaced that Brady is expected to land in Tampa,
Yes.
an unexpected high number of players
Damn straight.
have reached out to the Buccaneers to let them know they want
Take
to
me.
join
Please take me.
the New England quarterback there.
I'm available.
Please take me. Please take me. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Pied Piper.
Super team.
You started the super team, bro, right?
Vince Young.
Started the super team, bro.
Dream team. Haha.
Don Bowie, my coordinating producer, saying they after the Brady deal, they got $30 million in cap room. Go to work, Jason
Let's
Light. Go to
go.
work. Melvin Gordon out there too.
Yep.
Now they do need to protect Brady, but what better way to protect than with a run game, right? I
And who's better than the quick, short passes in the slot than Tom Brady?
844-204-RICH, number to dial you want to call. Darius Slay gets traded, and then the Eagles just swoop in, man, just a 3 and a 5, and coughing up, $17 million per for one of the top corners in the league who's got a really good track record against Amari Cooper. Particularly good against Amari Cooper. Great move. 29 years old. And, really amazing. Really amazing. And Detroit Lions fans probably wondering what the hell's going on over there. But Slay gets the exit visas he's been wanting ever since middle of last year. And the Eagles get a terrific player. Terrific player. Just a 3 and a 5. That's all. Man, 3 straight Pro Bowls, led the NFL with 8 interceptions and 26 passes defensed in 2017. That's some big news. And then here's the other one, too. Did you hear who the Miami Dolphins, according to my compadres of the NFL Media Group, the Miami Dolphins apparently reached out to before the coronavirus shut down visits in-house, that you cannot have any visits in-house because of the coronavirus, of draftees.
I did see this.
Did you see this report that, according to Ian Rappaport, before it was all shut down, the first phone call the Dolphins made to get a player in, Tua. Now, boy, you could knock me over with a feather.
Yeah.
You could knock me over with the old proverbial feather. I thought that they were like, let's go in the direction of Justin Herbert, everybody.
Yeah.
That's
how
strange.
many weeks ago was that?
That's odd.
So dumb.
That's really strange that Tua, the guy who had them at hello when he looked off the safety to beat the Georgia Bulldogs in the national championship game that he came into in the middle of the game just a couple of years ago. I'm telling you. Now, the Lions trading Slay, we put these pieces together. Clearly, it would be good for them to draft Jeff Okudah atop the draft, number 3 overall. But I would proffer to say they could get Mr. Okudah at 5th overall, where the Dolphins currently reside. And the Bengals going to take Burrow. The Redskins can sit there and say, let's kick the tires on Tua a little bit. See what's what. They're going to take Chase Young. Just take a look, everybody, at the free agency frenzy. If you are a human being large enough and fast enough and talented enough to stop a run or rush a passer from a 4-point stance, if you are somebody who plays defensive line and are good at it, you are making serious cash. And Clowney is still out there. He either must be asking for way too much or just biding his time to see who's left. I don't know. Or Seattle's just biding their time. I don't know. So this is the way it's going, people. Everybody just wants 4, 5, 6 guys who can go hunt. They're fast. They're young. They can be interchangeable. You can move them around the line. You can interchange them sideline to game and keep them all fresh. Chase Young going 2. And then at 3, there's Tua. Lions won't go in that direction, but who does want him? We all know who wants him. Come on.
Is anyone going to jump Miami, though? That's the question.
Well, that's the whole thing, and that's why the Lions are going to sit back. The Lions are in a great spot over the next 5 weeks because the draft is going to go down as scripted, 23rd to 25th, and unless something seriously, as we hope not, clearly goes wrong in this country with our battle against coronavirus or the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. So,
because where Tua would look good.
He's not going to New England.
No, I'm saying here in Los Angeles.
No, I know the Chargers are going to really be trying to go all in, too. That's where the Lions are sitting back. Who wants Tua? Because the Chargers are sitting there saying, we're not taking Cam, we're not taking Jameis. We tried for Brady. That was the only way that we would get off our plan of staying with Tyrod Taylor and then drafting a young kid, 6th overall. Tua would look great here, too. Lions are in a great spot. Just play them against each other and sit back and then pull the trigger, get a ton of draft picks, and stay at 5 or 6 and maybe get a Okudah anyway. Because there's going to be Isaiah Simmons. The Giants are going to go for somebody to protect Daniel Jones at 4th overall. I'm telling you. Fun draft, deep draft. But hearing the Dolphins reaching out to Tua, oh, baby. What a shocker. Again, knock me over with a feather. Phone calls at 844-204-RICH. Happy to take them all show. Pat McAfee's going to join us with A.J. Hawk. I guess they'll speakerphone us. We'll see how it works.
Right on.
Willie McGinest will be joining us at in the middle of our 3rd hour. Jeff Darlington's going to come up next. What of Brady's decision make, how he did come about all that, what is going on at the top of the draft, Todd Gurley, and so much more happening in the new league year in the NFL. Also, you've got Brockman. You want to talk about this SportsCenter March Madness bracket?
I do. That Barrett Sports Media put out.
Which I'm the 2 seed in the Booyah division.
Booyah region.
The Booyah region. I have a correction to make here about this. Okay.
How they spelled Booyah?
About the Booyah region. I've got a correction to make. I have some thoughts on this subject. Okay?
I can't wait to hear them.
Because it's filling up my timeline like crazy.
Well, it's pretty awesome.
Willie McGinest, Pat McAfee, Jeff Darlington, and you at 844-204-RICH, number to dial. That's how we're rolling here on this Thursday edition of the Rich Eisen Show on this loyal Rich Eisen Show radio affiliate, as well as youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Sleep Number, baby. Sleep Number beds are the best beds for couples, folks, because you get to set your side of the bed to the way you want it for softness or for firmness. It is the reason why it is the best bed for couples. 9 out of 10 couples prefer a different mattress firmness, from feather soft to firm. That's where you get your setting. When you go into a Sleep Number store, you can try out all the beds, take every last one of them for a test spin, but you get the bed that you want, and then you figure out what your sleep number is depending on how soft or firm you want the mattress. My setting is 60, my wife's is 70, 10 numbers apart, but it's the world of difference. And you discover smart, effortless comfort with the Sleep Number 360 smart bed that's so smart they adjust to your movements to keeping you sleeping comfortably throughout the entire night. Not a bed. It's proven quality sleep, folks. So come in now, save up to $600 on select Sleep Number 360 smart beds for a limited time only at a Sleep Number store or at sleepnumber.com/Eisen. So go to sleepnumber.com/Eisen. Check out all the beds, because obviously getting a great night's sleep is a great way to stay healthy. Jeff Darlington when we come back. Little bit of housekeeping for our fans at youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Little bit of housekeeping. So we had Warren Sapp on yesterday.
Yes.
Sent us a photograph of his breakfast. He called it breakfast pizza. There it is.
It looked amazing.
All right, look at that toasted. What would you say? That's toasted. Is that ciabatta scone? Is that a scone? Is that
too hard? It's more of a muffin. More of a muffin.
More of a muffin.
Okay.
More of a muffin.
Well, that table looks like it's definitely sturdy.
Yeah.
At any rate, so on top of that bread, you've got bacon. You say those are eggs over easy?
Eggs over easy.
All right. And confirmed, caviar atop each one.
So now,
99.
did you ask him how he got the caviar?
What do you mean? Like pull it out of the ocean?
Me and Brockman said you go and you got it.
I'm sure he
Hold
bought
on.
it. I'm sure he bought it.
Did he buy it?
I'm sure he bought
I can't wait for the response. Hold on, let me find out. Because I asked him, is that caviar? He wrote back, yes, sir.
You could definitely
Yes,
buy
sir.
it. But I think he got it.
That was the first one.
Did you fish for the caviar? Is that what I'm saying?
Yes.
Sure, but I imagine that he bought it.
All right. Did you fish the caviar yourself? All right. Now I got to tell McAfee, all good with So I guess if he's on speakerphone, we'll understand both of them.
Well, I think Pat and AJ started doing their own
pod together.
YouTube show at 1:00 Eastern, so that's why they'll be joining us together.
Okay. Let's give it a whirl. That's what I said. Okay. What number to dial? How about that?
Number to dial. You can be there for a while.
All right. That is, I mean, how much is, look, I'm not a caviar person at all. I just know it's absurdly expensive.
Yes.
How much money in caviar do you think that is?
That looks like half a can on one of those things.
It does look like a lot.
It looks like a lot. Looks like a lot.
Don't they? It's in different levels.
Huh?
For sure. I mean,
Right?
Obviously.
They're different.
Let's just find out.
Do research because
how much
is caviar?
is a can of caviar?
Because I know there's crazy, like if they give you that little spoon.
Don, are you researching? Are you researching caviar? He says caviar comes from sturgeons.
Okay.
Okay.
He might be, knowing him, he's constantly
telling you.
fishing. If he's
That's what I
fishing
mean.
for his own
Telling you,
sturgeon in
he's-
the Atlantic Ocean.
All right,
100%.
so according to this site, Serious Eats Guide, you can expect to spend $50 to $75 per ounce of caviar.
So that's a lot of ounces in that.
How
plate.
much time till we're back?
About 2 minutes.
Hold on, let's call him.
I love it. Rich is calling.
Alan Dallas called and said that's beluga caviar, and then hung up.
Wow.
we
Okay,
love
hold
it.
on. Let's look at
I
that.
would know.
He would know.
He's fishing. He's out for caviar.
He might be fishing.
I'm telling you, he loves it. I mean,
He's not answering. He normally
I
is
love
real
the
quick.
water.
so
He
he's-
loves the water more
Looks
than
like
I do.
2 ounces of beluga is about 180.
That's a lot of caviar. All right.
That's an expensive breakfast.
Damn. That's an expensive breakfast in both dollars and cents and caloric intake.
and calories.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, here we
But
go.
I can imagine he needs a lot to get his body through the day. He looks great, by the way, don't you think?
Yeah.
He looks great. I found a caviar delivery website. If we want some.
No, it's okay. All right, we'll take a break. Darlington, let's get Darlington on the horn, please. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. He is our Honda insider, joining us here from ESPN. Now, before I bring him in, I just want to quickly say this. We in the business of information and disseminating information would prefer to be accurate more than right. Does that make sense? We're not in this business to be right.
Or first.
We're in the business to be accurate.
Yes.
There's a difference because you just want to say, yes, I was accurate. Not like, yeah, I was right. But in a situation where you can say, yeah, I was right, kind of want to spike the football. Jeff Darlington did exactly that when Tom Brady decided to leave the Patriots to go to the Buccaneers. Jeff Darlington of ESPN joins us in our Honda Insider Report. How are you, Jeff?
I'm fine, Rich.
You know what I mean? You're not in this business to be right. You're in this business to be accurate. Correct, Jeff?
I've never actually heard that before, and I kind of like it.
It's
Yeah.
true, though.
And
It's true, though.
credibility is very important.
Yes, it is.
That's true.
Yes, it is. And I don't know what's more disturbing is the amount of grief that you took for reporting what you had, or the fact that most people didn't understand your Animal House reference when you said the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor on your Twitter account. I don't know what's more disturbing to me, quite honestly.
That felt like the perfect way to just kind of end that whole sequence, is to mention that the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor and just expose the people who are very, very adamant about their opinions.
So let's pull on that strand. Let's pull on that strand that of reporting that you had. How far back does the notion that you were reporting about Brady, you'd be shocked if he was returning to New England? How far back does that go? Because we're hearing he was so upset about everything in last training camp and so on and so forth. How far back does that go?
Well, I think that comes in stages, and one of the kind of elements to what was tricky about reporting throughout this scenario was the fact that things do change, right? If in, let's say, after the loss to the Titans, yes, it felt at that moment like Tom was resigned to the fact that he was leaving, that was the end. But you still, in so many situations like that, I mean, you could have technically, as soon as the Saints lost, you could have reported at that point that Drew Brees was really edging toward retirement, and you actually would have been accurate, but ultimately proven to be wrong, to kind of use your phrasing from before. And in this sequence, I think that when I finally said that I would be stunned if he returned to New England, I was supremely confident. I knew that he wasn't going back to New England. And it got to the point with him where not only was he resigned to leaving and comfortable with the notion of leaving, but he also understood that he knew that there was going to be a market, even though you couldn't get into really talking. He understood that the options were going to exist and that ultimately he would have been comfortable with at least one of those options. And at that point, it was pretty clear that he was gone.
Okay, and in the narrative that we've heard about the reason why he was not returning to New England, or was adamant about it, or was resolved, let's put it that way, would it have been, let's just use another example in the NFL of a GOAT quarterback with GOAT statistics and a first ballot Hall of Famer that's coming, albeit he's 5 Super Bowl championships shy of tying Tom Brady. You've got Drew Brees in New Orleans. Which one would have been made Brady less adamant? The relationship that Brees clearly has with Peyton, that he did not have Brady with Belichick, or the weaponry that Brees clearly has around him in New Orleans that Brady did not have in New England? Which one do you think played a bigger part for Tom?
That's a very good question.
Thank you, sir.
I would say both, and I would say from the aspect that Bill Belichick is a little different than Sean Payton in the fact that he is both the head coach and the general manager in most, maybe not by title, but by power. So when you add both of those things together, when there's this dynamic that exists where maybe the friction with Belichick has almost deteriorated to resignation, like it was what was once a marriage that might have had some arguments had turned into a marriage that was simply together for comfort, just let each other kind of do their thing, coupled with the fact that it was very clear that that coach who has the power to pick the players was not really interested in loading up, wasn't really looking to say, you know what, Tom, you got a couple more years, let's get one more together. That just wasn't the way it was ever presented to Tom, and as a result, I would argue that that Brady felt more comfortable than ever with those things considered leaving.
Jeff Darlington here from ESPN on the Rich Eisen Show and our Honda Insider Report. So let's answer the question that I think is burning in the minds of so many Patriot fans. Why Tampa? I think if Brady somehow engineered a way to San Francisco, Patriots fans would understand it, if you will. If it was Los Angeles, they would understand it because it's L.A. and a new spot and a new stadium, and it's L.A. and the Chargers could use somebody like Brady in that regard. The Tampa of it all, I think, has found Patriot fans difficult to swallow. Why Tampa?
Yeah, and I think that's an important point from the standpoint that, like, it was really not going to be the Patriots at the point when I was saying that I would be stunned. So as Patriots fans, and a lot of the reporting that started to kind of generate out there was it's either the 49ers or the Patriots. It's either the Titans or the Patriots. It's either the insert team, Chargers or the Patriots. It was never or the Patriots. And so that's the first important ingredient for Patriots fans to understand. But beyond that, the four things that when he knew he wasn't going back to the Patriots that Tom Brady was coveting, as I understand them to be, was, and I've kind of said this a little bit ad nauseum, so I'm sorry if I'm just repeating myself, but number one was going to be a coach who was looking to collaborate. 2 was a roster that didn't have to be on the cusp of a Super Bowl, but one that was very well built. 3rd was actually surprisingly warm weather or a dome, if not perfect weather. And 4th was going to be proximity to New York City, and to which a lot of Patriots fans said to me when I said the proximity to New York City, well, Boston's closer. But that wasn't one of the teams that he was coveting. So when you compare the Chargers to the Bucs, you understand why that East Coast makes sense. So why the Bucs? I mean, when you look at the things that he covets, even though maybe the sticker on the side of the helmet doesn't come with the historical significance of a 49ers or or the friendship that he has with Vrabel with the Titans, it still had all of the things that Tom Brady ultimately wanted.
Is it true about this dinner with Brady and Bill Gates and Derek Jeter and the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Jeff Vinnick? Is it what you got?
No.
That didn't happen?
As far as I understand it, Tom Brady was flying from Costa Rica to New York at that point. So
Okay.
I don't think that was possible.
All right, we'll throw that out there. What about the Jeff Darlington Honda Insider Report here on the Rich Eisen Show? What about adding in Tampa? Is it in the fact that Gurley is on the market? Is there a market for Gurley in Tampa, or because we're hearing about the if you will gold rush that the Buccaneers are feeling right now of people calling them up saying, please pick me for your championship run with Tom?
I think that Gurley certainly. I think the Rams are certainly interested in filling out that market for Gurley, and also the Bucs are certainly in the market for a running back. Right now, nothing is imminent when it comes to that potential trade. And one thing I would point to that could be tricky for any trade with Gurley at this point is the NFL regulations right now when it comes to the inability to really perform a physical with your team doctors. And given all that's kind of gone and some of the mysteries surrounding Gurley, it's going to be very difficult for a team to commit to that person at this point without that physical. Not saying it won't eventually happen,
right?
But for now, I don't think so. But you're right about the Bucs. It feels like the two areas that they will be seeking employment from somebody would be running back and kind of bolstering that offensive line. Because when you have Tom Brady, all of a sudden, to your point, the urgency immediately shifts toward, we're not trying to make the playoffs anymore. We're trying to go win this thing.
Yeah, because Todd Bowles really had one of the best run defenses in the game last year, and obviously getting some sort of pass defense and helping out with that pass rush. Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett being retained, Nassib going, that might be another thing for them to hit, but I'm just trying to see that running back market with Gurley. And again, Brady and the Bucs came to some sort of agreement as to a more geographically sound doctor for Brady to see and get this thing signed, right? That's what's happened?
Right. As I understand it, he's able to take that physical today in New York. Again, it's such an interesting time. I know people are wondering why things are kind of getting hot. It's nothing out of it's very out of the ordinary because of the times and what's going on with people trying to navigate these situations, but not from the standpoint that everybody within the Bucs and Brady are all on the same page here. Just a matter of really navigating these kind of new regulations. But I think we're getting very close to having this thing done.
And what about Melvin Gordon? Obviously, everybody needs physicals, but what's his market looking like? Best you can tell as we're talking, Jeff.
I feel like when it comes to featured backs right now, just the vibe I'm getting around the league is that there's really not a ton of featured back openings. So I think it's going to depend a lot on what Melvin Gordon's market is and how much money he's going to covet. Whether he wants to go to a team like Tampa and perhaps potentially take a little less to play on that LeBron-style team where they start to load up with guys, or if he wants to go somewhere else and potentially be a back-by-committee situation,
right,
or kind of hold out and really see if maybe one of those few featured jobs pull the trigger on him.
A few more minutes left with the ESPN NFL insider Jeff Darlington here in the Honda Insider Report on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's hit on the Dolphins a little bit here. Kyle Van Noy, Byron Jones. They've made some interesting maneuvers. They had the most cap space coming in. And now a report from your former colleague and my current, Ian Rappaport, saying that the Dolphins' first guy that they reached out to for an in-house visit that clearly is not going to happen because of the new regulations involving the fight against COVID-19. Tua, how about them apples? You could knock me over with a feather on that one, right, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. Tua is definitely a fascinating and intriguing spot for. And the most interesting part about the idea of Tua to Miami is that, it's so funny because a year ago it was like the whole tank for Tua thing. You were going to have the number one pick, and the Dolphins seemed very much on track to have that. And now all of a sudden the question becomes, okay, the Dolphins didn't exactly succeed in their tanking, and Tua had some unforeseen circumstances. Could that marriage still take place? I still think it's going to require getting to 3.
Yep.
And I don't know this, but it feels to me like if you've got the Chargers that's sitting at 6, and they're a team in Anthony Lynn that now didn't get Tom Brady, and seemingly even before the Brady stuff was going on, coveted a quarterback with 2. I still feel like the pressure point is going to be that 3rd pick that the Lions have.
But right, exactly. But at least you've got the draft capital. You didn't tank hard enough to. You didn't. Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick is the anti-tanker. I mean, he's the ultimate anti-tanker, right? And it was exciting, and they still had enough losses, for the lack of a better phrase, to be sitting there at 5. But they still have enough. There's no way the Chargers could compete with Greer and company for the most attractive package that the Lions can receive. And also, Miami's one step closer. So if they want Okudah to fill the hole that clearly the acquisition of Darius Slay from them to Philadelphia today, that's the one that kind of makes sense. The question is, though, is where does Washington play in all this? Because they could trump the Lions right now and say, look, we've got a lot of holes to fill, too. We'll drop down to 5. We'll forfeit our ability to get Chase Young, but we could get a whole bunch of draft choices and some other talented kids in this deep draft. What do you think Washington's mindset is right now, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that, like normally I would say, look, if you've got conviction in Young, you go get him. But at this stage, if Tua's medicals continue to come back clean as they have so far, and you've got the most valuable position in the draft with a player of the greatest value in a quarterback that people notoriously overpay for, yeah, you got to listen to offers. And, if the Dolphins and the Chargers are 2 teams trying to leverage against, trying to get up there and then throw in maybe another team somewhere in there, all of a sudden, not only are you in a position that's coveted, but you've got the potential to just take a team to the bath. And I think that's where they've got to, I respect when Ron Rivera says, we're looking at Tua, we're looking at, doing all of our homework. And, you can talk about Chase Young and you can talk about Tua, but the third option on that board for the Redskins, which is to just get a haul of picks, I mean, I think you cannot disregard that if you're Washington.
I know, right? I hear you. I mean, I think we're right now, Jeff, having the conversation that's going to be had over the next 5 weeks. I mean, and this thing's only going to heat up anymore. So let's just raise the roof then and say, what about the Bengals? Is it possible that they don't take Burrow, they take Tua instead? Like, at what point do we hear that part of the conversation, if at all?
Right. I'm sure we'll have it. The only thing I'd say is, just talking to people, and I mean, this is how long do those meetings go at the Combine? Like 15 minutes or something?
Correct. Well, that's all you need.
But talking to people, somebody who was in there in that meeting, just sounded so impressed by him and said that the room was so impressed by Burrow. The line that he gave me was he was like a 15-year veteran in there. He was exceptional. So it certainly felt like it was trending as if there was a chemistry that existed between Burrow and the Bengals that maybe we didn't expect early on just because of the Bengals' history. It feels like it's trending toward Burrow to the Bengals. But, hey, man, crazier things have happened, and I will certainly treasure the moment when you are sitting behind that desk and the first pick comes in. If it is something other than Joe Burrow.
I know that would be quite the stunner. All right, before I let you go, Jeff. So the next domino to drop would be who? Is there a big is the Gurley trade? Is there anything else out there that we should keep an eye on now that the new league year is fully up and running? Jeff Darlington.
I would say the Gurley trade, if not for these regulations. So really, the tricky thing here is that a lot of the quarterback dominoes have fallen.
Right. Jameis, Cam. I mean, you got Jameis and Cam, right? Chicago.
That's fascinating to me too. If you're so Chicago brings in Foles, and if you're a team though, like you would think that Cam's got to be the next big shoe, right? But if you're a team and you've got some pretty polarizing forces in Cam Newton and Jameis Winston, and you can't even bring those guys in to get to know them,
yep.
Are you willing to make that move yet? And if there's one player in the NFL, these NFL regulations, who probably stands, it's got to be either Gurley or Jameis for 2 different reasons.
Cam too.
Injury.
Cam as well, right?
Cam too.
Cam needs
because it's not like if you bring him in and it's not as your starter, your clear starter, like he's got a little bit of that Tebow element where like you're going to disrupt some things in your locker room if you bring him in there and create that competition. Some people cherish that competition. Some people covet it. Some people want nothing to do with it. So that's going to be very interesting to see how teams navigate Cam Newton and Jameis Winston.
Yeah, because Cam also, you got to look at his shoulder. You got to look at his foot too.
That's a great point.
I mean, you got to look at those aspects as well. So
if Dave Tepper, if the owner of the Panthers, is willing to go on record and say, we don't know if he's our quarterback because we don't know if he's healthy, what team is going to jump at that? That's a scary. The Panthers did not do Cam Newton any favors on his way out the door.
And then there's the last one for you. I mean, what does Foles' presence really mean in Chicago? That means that they've admitted that there is an issue with Trubisky, correct? I mean, it's a flat-out admission here.
100%, which, thank God they admitted it because it's obvious. But the question becomes, is Foles there to immediately supplant Trubisky, or is this going to be one of those legitimate head-to-head competitions? All I know is when you've got Nick Foles as your backup quarterback and not your starter, it seems like teams end up faring pretty well in that scenario. So.
Right, I know it's funny. Brockman's laughing. You're right. I mean, because we'll find out which type Trubisky is once the competition or doesn't or can handle it. We'll find out which one he is.
No doubt. No doubt. We know what happens when Foles gets put in that situation. So
he doesn't let it go.
Can do.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. Hope you and your young kids and your wife are all well and happy and healthy and stay that way. Okay, brother.
We're staying healthy. Happy is a different story. This is these are confined quarters in the Darlington residence.
I bet, and I appreciate your family sparing you to call in and be the Honda Insider for this segment. Thanks for the call, Jeff.
I appreciate you giving me the excuse. Thanks, Rich.
You're the man. That's Jeff Darlington here on the Rich Eisen Show, and it's brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event. If you're looking for the perfect addition to your garage this spring, look no further. Just head into your local Honda dealer and get a great deal on the 2020 Honda Passport today. Lots to unpack there. I want to hit a little bit more on the Chicago quarterback situation. And what Mariucci had to say yesterday, a fascinating landing spot for Cam Newton I did not think of. But he did, because he's Mooch. That's next here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk right now a little bit about our friends at Honda. They went away? Okay.
Yeah, they went away.
All right, I got a library. We'll do that on the way back. You got a quick trigger finger over there.
I mean,
I guess I should have started talking. That's
I'm
my
sorry.
bad. We're revealing for all of our YouTube friends they went away. We'll do that. Just let us know when they're coming back. We'll come back a little early and we'll talk about the Honda Pilot and make sure that we're all checking boxes because we're professionals. We're lead pipe wielding professionals. Happy birthday, Mike.
Thanks, Rich. Celebrating alone with a cupcake.
Oh, buddy.
So sad.
Yeah, but Mike, you wouldn't have invited us over to your house anyway, even if we were fine.
Well, my house always has.
Yeah, I know. But are you going to do at least a music show? You must have a little bit more of a captive audience for your music show.
I do. I'm keeping it to Fridays, though. Okay. I got a lot of people trying to enter.
Mike, we are dedicating.
Just do one tonight.
We are dedicating our video segments to you today.
Are you?
Oh, yeah, we are. We've had some great moments with you over the years, and again, this is not the end of anything.
No.
Which one's first? Oh, yeah. We have a beautiful sign out here. Christopher J. Long, when he was in charge here, he's all about the premium content. Love that man. Put a sign here, and guess what? When we revealed it, Mike Del Tufo is right in the middle. Take a look. Mike Del Tufo, are you out there, Mike?
Yes, I'm here, Rich. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. So what are you revealing? You've got right here.
Right up here above me is a brand new Rich Eisen Show sign.
A new Rich Eisen Show sign.
Am I going to do it now?
Let me see this. Yeah, here we go. Let's
here we go. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Just hope it doesn't come down on your head.
Odds that
I can't do it because the way it's just set up.
Put down the microphone, dude.
I can't.
This is the worst reveal ever. Take down both.
Pull.
Just put the microphone down.
This is good, Rich. This is good.
He's going to bring down the whole thing.
Yes.
Pull both of the cords, you. Hey. No, we cannot have this as the reveal.
He does
this
audio.
This cannot be the reveal.
He does audio. He does not do manual labor.
It's the way it's messed up there. I can't look.
We call
Walk up the
this
stairs. Walk up the stairs, Del Tufo.
Yeah, okay.
the not reveal.
He's gonna walk
Oh,
up
no,
the
I
stairs.
can't because I can't climb
called
to
the
where
not
that is.
reveal.
Yeah, you can. That's up.
No, you can't. It's you gotta have a cable. You guys don't know OSHA rules. See, they screwed me. They did this on purpose. I'm convinced.
Yeah, it's against you, Mike.
I'm telling you.
Del Tufo, just tell everyone out there you don't have any change for them.
Just pull it. Give them good jersey pull. Put them
Yeah, there you go. Watch.
Marshall.
Put the microphone down and pull it.
Oh, the other one.
You're a big man. Yank it. Yank it. Oh.
Marshall.
Just losing his mind. Mike, this is terrible.
Yeah, Marshall.
I mean,
So much.
All right, come back in here and screw up the audio now, Mike.
No, I didn't. You know, I'm.
Piling on.
oh,
I honestly
Marshall
think.
laughing
I
in my
honestly
ear.
think that's worse than the Shark Tank proposal. That
Oh,
you
that'll
did.
be coming later.
oof. I mean, that's the greatest.
That'll be later.
The greatest hits are amazing.
But that's worse. You couldn't even pull down a sign.
Yeah, that was set up. It was the week.
Oh, should I ask McAfee to send me his Uber rating?
1,000.
Ooh,
And
I'd love
AJ
to see-
Hawks.
yeah.
You know what? I shouldn't do that. He's going to destroy. I mean,
And AJ Hawk. Well,
Pat-
doesn't matter. I'm going to
Pat-
ask him on the air if you don't get it ahead of time.
all right. Yeah. Oh, geez. I
I'm
bet.
going to bet McAfee's got a good one.
Take a screen grab of
You
your
never
Uber
know, though.
rating.
You don't know.
He
You don't know.
He might, or he might use a different service.
It's true.
Right.
You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know how people get around.
Hello to our YouTube folks.
Hello. All right. It looks like Joe Flacco just got released
Yeah.
with a failed physical designation.
Yeah, man.
Bummer.
Remember that he called the offense into question, and then
It was conveniently
we thought it would conveniently
was
put,
deactivated.
deactivated
Yeah,
for an
like
injury.
a shoulder.
Dude, he hurt his neck in that game clearly.
Yeah.
Wow. 844-204-RICH. Give us a call. We'll take your calls when we come right back here on The Rich Eisen Show. The Honda Pilot is sitting at your local Honda dealer right now to help get you around town in any way, shape, or form that you need to. It's seating for as many as 8, folks. I mean, this is a car that I know a few friends of mine, my buddy William out there, he just refused to give up, as he said, and get a Honda Odyssey. And I'm like, hey, what does that mean? I have a Honda Odyssey. What's your issue here? And he said, you know, it serves the same purpose in his mind as a minivan, and it's a little bit more souped up, if you will. And it doesn't look like a minivan. You could seat as many as 8 in there, and the available 8-inch display audio touchscreen and advanced rear entertainment system keeps peace of mind and peace in the car. If you're going on a long road trip, many folks decide right now, you know what? I don't want to quarantine myself at home right now. I just want to get out and get somewhere, maybe go on a hike, fresh air, move around. The Honda Pilot is perfect for all of that. So hurry to your local Honda dealer at some point and test drive a Honda Pilot today. We're back here on the Rich Eisen Show. Do we have a poll question over there, Christopher Brockman? Do you have one over there? You got an idea? Ish? All right, it's in our rundown right there, apparently. I've been told. Don Bowie says it's in the rundown. You want to check that one out? And it's brought to you by our friends at Capital One, which has reimagined banking by offering savings and checking accounts with no fees or minimums and one of the nation's best savings rates. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Approval required. Capital One, NA member FDIC. IC. Do we have it over there, Christopher Brockman?
Yeah, so which available quarterback, we'll put available in quotes.
Yep.
Available quarterback would you want to be your team's starting QB if it needed one?
Okay, so we got Winston, Newton.
Winston, Cam, Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton.
Okay.
At Rich Eisen Show on Twitter, vote right now.
Now, here is a best fit that Mariucci came up with. This is a great conversation. I tweeted it out. It was me, Mooch, and Joe Thomas yesterday. In the middle of which, Joe Thomas, who has this, I guess, for his podcast in his house, has this huge microphone that makes the one that I have right here look small. Huge microphone.
I saw that he put a sign on it yesterday.
Saying Big Mike, whatever.
Big Mike don't care.
Is it right?
Whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then at one point during the conversation, they took the 3-shot. Joe thought he was off camera, and he's taking a sip of water from what looked like the container for the microphone or something you would put flowers in, like it's a monster, vase or vase. And by the way, look at the photograph we have up on our youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Mooch is like scrunching his face, and I'm stunned. I'm like totally stunned by it. But this is a great moment. At any rate, Mooch came up with, a good spot for Cam. Washington. Hook up with the guy who was Coach of the Year 2 times with Cam. Hook up with the guy that knows Cam inside and out and can potentially, if Dwayne Haskins isn't the guy yet, tell Dwayne what's up, how you doing? Give him a 1-year deal a la Phillip. See how his foot is holding up.
Interesting.
And go to work.
I've not heard that.
I hadn't heard it
thrown
anywhere.
Out there.
And
I hadn't even thought
huh.
of that, to be honest.
Okay, so that means you choose Chase Young, you bring Cam in, right? And go to work. And either he beats out Haskins because he's Cam and he's healthy enough, or he's not healthy enough and Haskins is the guy, and if Haskins proves he's still not ready yet, then Cam's sitting there. And you can maybe win the division with Cam Newton. Have you heard that anywhere else?
I have not.
I'm like, Mooch, how about that?
I have not. I'm just thinking about what they have for weapons. Terry McLaurin had a great year last year.
Adrian Peterson and
rookie.
Darius Geist, bro.
Adrian Peterson.
Geist. If Geist is healthy, let's see how he can go to work. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. Let's take Connor in Denver's phone call. You're here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, Connor?
Hey, Rich, how's it going? I've always wanted to call in and say what's up to you guys. Happy birthday, Del Tufo.
Thank you, Connor.
There you go.
Yeah, I was definitely just going to pick your brain on what we're thinking in the next couple months is going to happen with this Bucs roster. I'm more of an NFL overall fan, but just love to kind of analyze and see the landscape of things. And really with the cap situation as they're about to take on this Brady contract with other people that are going to be looking to be re-signed in the next future years with their top overall picks, Vita Vea, Devin White last year. I think they're going to obviously go all in to try and get that championship for Tom. But what do you guys think about, instead of Gurley coming over and weighing down with a massive contract, I think somebody like they're going to prioritize pass blocking as one of the number one assets of the running back as well as power back. And so maybe it's J.K. Dobbins in the draft in the second round, or maybe it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the second round.
I don't know if you're going to get Dobbins. I don't know if you. By the way, great choices right there, and thank you for the call and for giving a shout out to Del Tufo. Dobbins, I'm so happy I'm not going to see him in the Big Ten anymore. I don't think Dobbins is going to be available in the second round of this draft at all, and I don't think Edwards-Helaire will either. But those are not bad ideas. Or you just load up. I know Gurley's contract. So what? You got $30 million under the cap right now. You got Brady right now. Damn the torpedoes. Or to use another boat phrase, because they got one in their end zone, fire the cannons. No risk it, no biscuit. That's it. Arians, no risk it, no biscuit. The Bucs, fire the cannons.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Go get Gurley if you think you're going to be healthy. Now that's the whole thing too. Is how do you get these guys a physical and a doctor that you trust to say, all right, I'll put all my millions and eggs in that basket.
Have Brady send his guy to them.
Hour number 2 coming up. Pat McAfee, America's sweetheart, joining us. And he said A.J. Hawk will be on the phone, too. That'll be fun. That's in the middle of the next hour. But when we come back, this whole craziness about choosing your favorite SportsCenter anchor and my seating and ranking and all that stuff. It's coming up. All right. Welcome back to our youtube.com/Rich Eisen show feed. I kind of like this new format that we're doing right now.
I like it too.
1,000%.
It's a lot more work where normally when we're like at this point, I'd already be off and, grabbing a drink or doing what I have to do, which I can still do anyway. And then Don Bowie, our coordinating producer, is pushing the buttons back there and getting everything set up. Like this video of Mike Del Tufo. It truly is my favorite moment of yours in the history of what we've done. You know what it is. It's Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary here from Shark Tank, and we had you pitch him on an idea.
This would work well right now.
Oh, my.
This idea would be great right now.
By the way.
Not for nothing.
That's not a bad. Not for nothing. This wouldn't be a bad idea. Mike Del Tufo pitching to Kevin O'Leary. Check it out. Mike Del Tufo is standing at a microphone that's about, I'd say, 20 feet away.
Yep.
Looking right at Mr. Wonderful of Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank. Go for it, Mike Del Tufo.
What happens if, something happens to me and 2,500 miles away, my family's there, and they don't know? I could be sitting in the apartment alone, dead for days. So I came up with an idea for an app called Just In Case that would be basically you download it, and you could check in with this app, and other people could see that, A, you're alive still. You could basically be tracked with it.
Just to get the whole story, before I completely eviscerate you.
Go ahead.
How would you make money doing this?
You do a subscription per month.
People are going to pay per month.
99 cents per month. Very cheap.
If your mom calls you for 2 days and doesn't get an answer, she's probably going to call the super and say, go check on his corpse. Think about it. They don't need 99 cents a month for that.
But in theory, wouldn't you want, if it's something that you don't have to do?
Mike,
other people can check in.
When you're dead, you're dead. Who cares?
How does the app know you're dead?
The app doesn't know you're dead.
You have to tell it you're not dead.
The app would tell you that you're not checking in. Every time you unlock your phone, it would ping, and you put people on a list that know that if your mother's in Florida, she could be sitting in the house. You know that at least she's checked in on her phone. If you're their kid, you don't have to talk to him on the phone. You don't have to call him. And if it's a kid, you know the kid.
If you think if you're worried your mother's dead, why don't you call her?
Well, let's say
mother, Mike.
People don't call their mother and father and live 2,500 miles away every day.
I just want to make sure you're not dead. Are you kidding? You should call your mother every day.
No. I'm talking about all day. You don't know.
Oh, you want to know the exact moment your mother
died.
died.
You could check in. You know that they've actually. Exactly.
Kevin O'Leary.
Horrifically bad. Really bad. Really bad.
I tried.
I'm telling you, this would work right now. I could sell it right now to him.
It was so.
When you're dead, you're dead.
But see, now that's an edited down version for various reasons.
I could post a longer.
You have to go right now and search for it.
I'll post it. You
could post it, but also, this is the neat thing is we're talking to our YouTube viewers right now, and hopefully hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. We'd appreciate that. But also, you could just right now go find this video, and you've got to see the whole thing because you.
I was so confident.
What did he say, Chris? It was my favorite thing. He's like, your first thing is to pitch him is you were like, so I was sitting all alone at home with my friends.
With a couple friends.
Yeah. I was thinking about this while I was home alone with all my friends.
With a couple of friends. And it's just right then and there, you just absolutely cut yourself off at the knees.
Immediately.
So you were kind of flop sweating. You're nervous, but I can't imagine. But you didn't. You were kind of like, I don't want to do it. Because I know I'm going to be, he's going to slice me up. You knew that it was great content, though, so you did it.
Yeah. No, you know me. I'm good for that.
No, but also, now, just admit this. A little piece of you thought, I'm going to sell this fuck.
Yeah. I did.
I want to sell this thing right now.
Right now, it was it was bad.
Just in case it would work right now, although his point is well taken.
Of course.
Call your mother.
But they have fine friends, which was around a lot longer than this. On iPhones.
Right.
They exist.
Right.
I think it's on Android too. But
okay. We're back in a minute.
Previously on the Rich Eisen Show.
Anybody that's out there that says players shouldn't go get theirs whenever they can, loyalty is a two-way street. Cam Newton, first overall selection of the Carolina Panthers, won an MVP, took the team to the Super Bowl, and now Cam's looking for a new team. In the same way that Bill O'Brien's basically telling everybody, I got a plan here, trust me, Matt Rule better be ready for the same thing in Carolina. If they don't win, fan base is going to be all over Matt Rule.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now.
Y'all ready for this?
Rich Eisen.
We need you, Tom. I beg you. I plead with you. Please, Mr. Brady. We got to get you, Tom.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
Quarterback careers are so fascinating.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Nick Foles, $1 gajillion in the free agent market this time last year.
My heart's pounding in my chest just to be a part of Jacksonville and be a part of this community.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
And now he's been traded to the Chicago Bears for a compensatory fourth-round selection.
Goodbye.
You got to get yours when you get yours.
Earlier on the show, ESPN NFL reporter Jeff Darlington. Coming up, former All-Pro punter Pat McAfee, NFL Network analyst Willie McGinest. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Hour number 2 of the Rich Eisen Show is on the air here on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show to see it. And to all of you out there listening to us on this loyal Rich Eisen Show radio affiliate or on Sirius XM radio, we say thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. And we're here for you. We're all feeling good. We had a great chat with Jeff Darlington in hour number 1, telling us what's going on in the free agency world. And I have just a little bit of breaking news as to how the NFL and the NFLPA have come up with rules right now with the difficulty of getting players to take physicals from their own doctor. Normally, they'd have a player fly out to the facility. Their own team doctor sees them. The team doctor says everything's cool. So they feel comfortable signing a player to multiple years and for multiple millions of dollars and putting your eggs in this player's basket. Tom Brady and the Bucs apparently have agreed that Tom can see a doctor in New York City, that they will trust the judgment of this physician, and when the medical checks out, then they'll be able to sign the contract and be done with it. But before I get to reading you these rules as being reported by NFL Network's Tom Pelissero right now, Chris Brockman, what's our poll question? Review it and let everyone know where they can go check it out and our results right now.
All right, at Rich Eisen Show on Twitter right now to vote which available, in quotes, quarterback would you want to be your team's starter if you needed one. Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton. All right, Flacco's at the bottom, 4%. Andy Dalton, 20%. Jameis Winston, 22%. Cam, 55% right now.
What do you think of that?
I think that is accurate. With Jameis Winston, obviously coming off the 30-30 last year, 5,000 yards, we know he can sling it. Accuracy, decision-making has been a big question mark of his, but Cam Newton, when healthy, one of the most dynamic players we've seen at the quarterback position ever.
I know. And the
ever.
issue,
MVP, 15-1, took the Panthers to a Super Bowl in a game that they were in. Von Miller took over, absolutely wrecked that game, but they could have still won it. They had a chance.
Right.
Cam Newton is still a dynamic player in this league, I believe.
The reason he's going to have a big issue right now is not just because their seats are filling up. Somebody got to go check his foot out. You know, and
both.
You could even see his shoulder, too.
It's both.
I mean, it looked like his shoulder was going to be fine. It's just the footwork was off, clearly, and his season ended. So they got to see that. And in terms of making a deal and then being able to announce it, nobody's announced anything yet unless it's re-signing a player or a franchise tag that's been signed, right?
Right.
And Joe Tooney signed his franchise tag earlier today for the Patriots. And we'll see if that means that he's been on the move or not.
Yeah, it's about $14 million for him.
So Tom Pelissero says memo was just sent out to all teams. Given the impact of restrictions imposed on free agents traveling and entering NFL facilities for the purpose of executing NFL player contracts, the league has decided to amend the rules governing when an NFL club may announce a free agent signing. For the 2020 league year only, the following rule will govern. NFL clubs may announce the signing of a free agent when the following conditions have been met. 1, parties have reached an agreement on the terms of the new NFL player contract. And 2, the written contract has been sent to player and his agent. That's it. Once those conditions have been met, the club and player may announce the agreement. However, per NFL rules and contract law, the contract will not be binding on either party until the NFL club countersigns the written contract that is to be returned by the player via mail or FedEx. Here's the big sentence. You ready for this? Should an NFL club announce an agreement that they subsequently refuse to execute, if it is determined by the management council that the original announcement was made in an effort to gain a competitive advantage by improperly removing that free agent from the market,
wow,
the club will be subject to sanctions, including the forfeiture of draft picks. This rule is effective immediately. So if you're like, you know what, let's agree on a contract.
Right.
But we're going to hold off signing and then eventually say, yeah, we're not doing it. To make sure that this player doesn't get signed by, say, somebody within your division, they're going to lay down the law on the hammer.
That is shady.
How about them apples?
Well, it's good in the NFL for making sure these teams are doing this in good faith.
Right.
Because it wouldn't be above someone from trying to pull that move, right?
How about let's make this deal? Let's make it. Let's make it. Oh, the team in my division just filled that spot that you would play.
Darn
gosh,
it.
you know
Sorry.
what?
You know, we thought about it.
I'm looking for the. Let me look in my inside pocket. Is that where did I leave that? Where are my keys? Where are my keys? Did I leave my wallet somewhere? Right. Let's take a few phone calls here before we get to what you've been dying to talk about for quite some time.
Dying for a whole day.
Pat McAfee as well as AJ Hawk's going to join us together. 2 for the price of 1.
Love it.
844-204-RICH, number to dial here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's do this one. This one is interesting to me. Brent in Texas, you're here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, Brent?
Hey, Rich. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for making it call.
I had a couple of ideas about quarterback 1-year contract.
Right.
But another one I had was, why not pick up the phone and call Miami about Josh Rosen? Kind of seemed like he's a lame duck.
You know what? Thanks for the call, Brent. Chris, you were all over the Patriots going and drafting Josh Rosen, right?
Absolutely. I think that he could have went up to New England and sat for a while and learned under Tom. And are you telling me that if Josh Rosen had gone to New England, sat the last 2 years under Tom Brady,
that he wouldn't be like right now? You'd be just like that's
right
it.
now. We'd be like, boom, we got our starting quarterback and we got our guy for the next decade. Are you telling me instead the situation that he got thrown in had no chance to succeed in Arizona and was never going to be the guy for Miami?
And maybe New England right now is thinking, all right, when they draft Tua, they're going to have Fitzpatrick there.
Right.
And they'll have to let Josh
get rid of somebody.
Go, most likely. And then we'll swoop in and we'll take Josh.
And then let Stidham and Rosen.
Still, they still need a veteran in that room, man.
That's why Andy Dalton just makes the most sense to me.
They still need a veteran in that room.
They're just kind of waiting to see how it all shakes out.
And the Brissett, there is no way the Colts are trading Brissett if they can handle the cap, and they've got a ton of cap room. Brissett, they need him there. Again, Phillip hasn't missed a snap since 2006, but he's also getting up there, and they need him.
Do you think Jacoby Brissett has played his way into a starting job in this league where he deserves to be one of the 32 starting quarterbacks?
I do think so, but if I'm the Colts, there's no way. Did you see the step from Brissett to Hoyer? No way. No way. You need a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
That's another reason with the Bears, the whole pushing Trubisky, and why did they bring in Foles? Foles is an upgrade from Chase Daniel. And Foles is a guy who can come in and not just like, we'll get through it when Trubisky has a shoulder injury. Foles is a guy who can take them into the playoffs and maybe go up into Green Bay, to get you in the playoffs and win that game.
I think a lot of people would argue Foles is an upgrade on Trubisky.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Good point. Let's take one more call here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's go to Cecil in South Carolina. What's up, Cecil?
What's up, Rich? I appreciate you having me on the show.
Thanks for calling in. Thank you.
There's been a lot of talk about Belichick versus Brady. What is the deciding factor on the success of the dynasty? And I'm going to go with Brady. You cannot teach clutch performance. I don't care what coach you are. You can't coach that up, man. That has to be within you. And I also think that with the clause or the alleged clause in Brady's contract where he can have a major influence on who he plays with, I think Antonio Brown, who's already from Florida, he's going to join the Bucs.
You know what, Cecil? Again, that is a tall order, man. The Bucs will have to do their due diligence. That's for damn sure. And thanks for the call. And thanks for what you had to say about being on our show. And 844-204-RICH. I'm thrilled to have anybody give a call in and give their 2 cents. They'll have to do their due diligence in a big way. And I don't know where Antonio Brown is right now, or if he is, what state of mind he is in. All I know is the last video I saw of him is something that if I'm an owner in the NFL, I'm like, well, why are we bringing this guy in? I know Tom loves him, but really? We got Godwin, we got Evans. Why do we need him too? And now someone like Arians could be like, I got this. Okay, we'll see. I got this. I don't know if he'll be calling Mike Tomlin for help and advice. I don't know if
for reference. For reference.
Well, I mean, the Steelers are the ones who said Arians was retired. By the way, this is the greatest retirement in the history of retirement. It's kind of like Steven Soderbergh. I'm retired. Let me continue making some incredible movies. Let me make The Nick while I'm retired.
He only won Coach of the Year after being, quote unquote, retired.
Twice, by the way. Once as an interim. How about them apples?
Ridiculous.
Come on. Okay, Christopher.
Let's do it.
What do you want to talk about right here,
so
sir?
Saw this yesterday, and of course, the tournament should have started an hour ago. We should be knee-deep in brackets and March Madness right now. But some people have been throwing out brackets online of various topics. We're totally here for all of them. But this one caught my eye yesterday.
Yes.
So Barrett Sports Media tweeted this out. SportsCenter, the greatest anchors tournament. Okay? 64 SportsCenter anchors from current to back in the day, broken down into 4 regions. The In Fuego region, where your top seed is, Dan Patrick. The Way Downtown region, where the top seed is, Keith Olbermann. The Bad Beats region, a little more current guys. SVP, Scott Van Pelt, your top seed there. And the Booyah region with your buddy Stuart Scott, the late great Stu.
That's right.
Is the 1 seed there. You, Rich, I know you're wondering where you are. You are the 2 seed in the Booyah region. So no disrespect shown your way. You're the 2 seed there.
I'm the 2 seed.
All right.
By the way, first of all, just because I'm a stickler for this sort of thing.
Sure.
Booyah normally is spelled with an H. Normally. It's spelled boo with a Y-A. But Stewart wrote it on his shot sheets as Booyah.
Like Y-O-W?
Y-O-W.
Wow.
He would write it in script, Booyah. And by the way, he would write them down every time. Like he would look at his shot sheets and he would scribble all of his
catchphrases.
All of his catchphrases.
Yeah.
So they were off the top of his head during the commercial break when he was seeing the highlight, but written down so he could execute it. Just want to get that straight out there.
All right. Now, have you taken a chance to peek at some of the matchups?
I'm just
here?
looking at it right now.
Okay, so there are some great
nice, well done.
Opening round matchups that caught my eye, TJ's as well.
Next.
When we were going through this. A great one in the En Fuego region, the 8-9 matchup. Currently co-anchors right now on the West Coast, Neil Everett versus Stan Verrett.
Okay.
The 8-9 seed.
Well, instead of walking through the seeds, which ones have you actually had advanced?
Okay.
How about that?
Okay, so I filled out the first round. I did the first round.
Screw it. How far do you have me advancing,
Well,
Chris?
look, we've only gone one round. So you were matched up in the 215 matchup with Randy Scott.
Okay.
So I have you moving on, obviously.
All right,
Your
thank you.
second round matchup, by the way, was Trey Wingo versus Michael Smith.
That's the 2-7 matchup if Trey advanced?
So I have Trey advancing. So
Okay.
you are locked in a round of 32 matchup with Trey Wingo.
Okay, now it's the 6-11 and 3-14. It's Sage Steele versus Mike Hill, Carl Ravitch versus Michael Kim.
Okay, so I have Carl Ravitch advancing against Sage Steele.
Okay.
One of the nicest people I've ever met.
Right.
Now, the 5-12 is Reese Davis versus Tim Brando.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Tough one. Tough one.
I mean,
Got Reese moving on.
okay.
Reese moving on. 413, Steve Levy versus Jason Jackson.
I think Steve Levy's done the most sports centers of anybody there currently, except for Linda Cohn.
For Linda,
I think Linda's
right?
got a
Okay,
beat,
so I have Bag of Leaves moving on.
Right.
The top of this bracket is Stu Scott versus Nicole Briscoe, who's actually on the air right now.
Okay.
I got Stu moving on. Bill Pito in an 8-9 matchup. This was one of the toughest matchups in this entire bracket.
Right.
Bill Pito versus one of our favorites, Mike. I know it's your birthday. Carrie Champion.
She advances. National champion.
She's cutting down the net.
She's cutting down the net.
She's
Oh my God.
from the 9 seed. She's like the UConn.
Yes, UConn. Give her the
Mike,
trophy.
All due respect.
She's like the never nervous Purvis Louisville Cardinals.
With all due respect to Carrie, Mike, she loses to Bill Pito. I mean, come on. She
Billy
loses to Bill Pito.
Eisen. Bill Pito is one of the biggest characters I've
We're
ever
judging
met.
The
ever.
qualifications here is how you do a sports.
But here's the thing: it's just like let's be honest here. You could take the music down. I want to get to Pat McAfee and.
So we've only done the first round. We've only done the round of 32.
I want to get to Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk on time. Let's be honest here. How does Stuart Scott not advance out of his own region? I mean, let's be honest here. Stu's a,
You're not gonna knock him off in the Elite Eight,
dude. Was that when I'd face? No, I'd face him in the Elite Eight. Of course I would. No. I mean, and the question is who's the 1 seed that gets knocked out? Look, I know Carrie Champion is just going to for TJ Jefferson.
I mean,
and she knows TJ. She knows about you. Okay, and you too, Mike. She's very well aware of how you would have her cutting down the nets in anything in which she is in bracketology. Okay, but we're talking about
TJ. Did you really have
Pito
Carrie beating Bill Pito?
Of course he did.
TJ.
Of course he did. Don't even have to answer it.
I'll tell you, the weakest 1 seed who's going to have the toughest matchup against the 2 is Keith, who would potentially face Chris Berman in the Elite Eight.
By the way, they went to school together, right? Like grade school. I think grade school or middle school or something like that. They've known each other forever. Oberman versus Berman. It would be Dan versus Bob Lee in the 1-2 and then Fuego. And Van Pelt versus Linda Cohn in the Bad Beach region.
You could make an argument that SVP could potentially lose in the Sweet 16 to either Mike Tirico or John Bucci-Gross.
Tirico is a 5 seed? Are you out of your mind?
I mean, that's crazy.
Bucci Man is a strong 4 in the Bad Beats region. Just saying.
I mean, the other 5, Brian Kenny's is Robin Roberts a 5 seed?
I do have some first round upsets in mind. I have Kevin Nagandi knocking off John Anderson in the way downtown region.
John Anderson is one of the best SportsCenter anchors
I totally get it.
He was flat out new when I started doing SportsCenters with him, and he has done tons of them. He is funny. He's a good dude too.
John Anderson
he's a good guy.
Also strikes me as the type who tells you how funny he is.
No, he's
totally
not.
Get it.
He's not.
Totally get it.
I will stand up for John
He's one of those guys, I went to Missouri. My journalism school is superior to yours.
He would never do from my memory, he would never do that.
All right, my other 4-13 upset, I have Lindsay Zarniak knocking off Hannah Storm.
No.
Just saying.
Notre Dame's finest.
My gosh.
Hannah.
Anyway, this is a lot of fun. We'll retweet it, print it out.
I'm honored at least to be seeded into the Elite Eight, so thank you for that.
Yeah, fill your guys' out. Send it to us on Twitter. We'll retweet it. This is a lot of fun. We'll post our Final Fours later today.
And congratulations to Carrie Champion winning 2/3 of the vote for you.
Carrie Champion will not be winning my bracket.
Congratulations to Carrie Champion cutting down the nets. Very good. All right, we'll be back with Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk together. Oh, look at that! Look at the crack staff putting together a beautiful shot on LA from here in Los Angeles. Coming up on the Rich Eisen Show. Look at that. You can see it on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show.
The ball is tipped.
Oh, stop it. Yeah.
There you are.
By the way, for you and Carrie Champion, there are no shining moments. And you guys know it. No matter, even if it's your birthday, Mike, 0 shining moments. Full Blutarski, 0.0 shining moments for you and Carrie Champion, and you know that. I'm sorry. I still have to spit truth when I can.
It's his birthday.
Okay, everybody. Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk next on the Rich Eisen Show. It's springtime. Everybody's antsy to get out, okay? We're all, as we all know, doing the right thing and staying home. If you want to maybe go out and get some sort of fresh air, go to a park, go to some place that's not dense, go somewhere that you can go and get some fresh air and stay a safe distance away from people right now as we're all trying to get through this nightmare. What you need to do maybe is just hop in your Honda HR-V and go to your local park, go to your local spot where you can go grab a hike. Maybe if you're in a beach community, go on the beach and stay away again from people. Just go on a walk. Don't go in the water. Don't do what we're seeing like spring break. So the Honda HR-V is a top IIHS safety pick for 2020. It's amazing. The HR-V is the convenience and versatility as well. The Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration, you'll always be on your game. Honda sensing a suite of safety and driver assistive technologies. Hurry to your Honda dealer to check out the 2020 Honda HR-V today. Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk together, 2 for the price of 1 next here on this Rich Eisen Show. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'm sorry, Mike.
No. That's funny as hell. That's a great little.
That was funny.
Rich was like, "Where was I?" As soon as you saw it, Rich.
I know, right?
You went to where am I?
I know.
Well, you're properly seated.
Yeah.
Here's an old school matchup: Charlie Steiner and Gail Gardner.
Right?
Yeah, that's in the way downtown region, sir.
By the way, Charlie versus Susie Colbert in the round of 32 is a good matchup.
Larry Beal versus Robert Flores, 7-10.
I know. I went Roflo there.
Well, I'm an old school guy, so
I know.
go Larry Beal.
Yeah.
Steve Berthium versus Chris Berman. That's a tough.
That's a tough
matchup.
tough draw
Anybody,
for
anybody versus Chris
tough
Berman.
draw for Berthium.
Well, as you know, remember we had Berthium on the show when he heard me accuse him of stealing a SportsCenter line.
Oh yeah.
And then I just let him have it, and then he came on and pushed back. That was a fun conversation.
Tom Mees versus Jack Edwards in the 8-9.
Yeah, man.
That's a good one.
That's straight out of when I walked in. When I walked in the door, Tom Mees and Jack Edwards were mainstays. When I walked in the door in '96, may Tom Mees rest in peace.
Rest in peace, of course.
A
good one on the other side is 6'11", Gary Miller versus Jay Harris.
In the bad beats region.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Gary Miller. You know what his nickname was?
Is an all-timer.
His nickname was Meat. You know why his nickname was Meat?
I don't
Is
know
that
why.
when for his somebody getting thrown out at a base or the plate, and he would go Meat. That was his highlight call for baseball. I'm assuming that's what it was. It could have been something off air too. I don't know.
It was also a
Gary Miller.
That was
Meat.
part of Bull Durham. Why is he calling me Meat all the time? Crash used to call Nuke Meat.
Meat at the dish, right?
I think again he's just. I thought it was because Gary Miller would say, and he is Meat. And then Dan Patrick still has. God bless him. I don't know how he got it, but the soccer breakdown audio. Where we are we back coming back anytime soon?
We got about 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay,
yeah,
so
we're fine.
So quick story. Dan plays it all the time. Fans of Dan Patrick's show hear it all the time. Gary Miller would read a voiceover for what was called a home-cooked piece. On SportsCenter, if we had time, 3-4 minutes, a producer would write up a piece, or you'd write up a piece, and you'd send it in, and they'd edit it together on a feature about, hey, such and such is happening in baseball, such and such is happening here. So they did a soccer breakdown. Remember the breakdowns? You would break down something. So a soccer breakdown, and Gary could not pronounce the names of the players, or he would called it FIFA, not FIFA. He called it FIFA, and he started laughing hysterically because he kept on blowing it, and it was terrible. And at one point he said Gianluca Pagliuca, whose name he couldn't get right. He finally got it right, and he said the MFer. He said that word because he just finally got it out. It's one of the funniest things you've ever heard, to the point where anytime that you saw a player curse during a highlight, Olbermann would say Gianluca Pagliuca. That was an inside joke with everybody at SportsCenter. Okay, so it was so funny that they saved the entire attempt at doing the voiceover. And when we were waiting around on the set, just passing the time for whatever reason, they'd play it just to keep everybody engaged and laughing. Awesome. And Dan has it. Dan got it. So he'll play it from time to time on his show.
Wow.
Oh, it is Gary Miller at his absolute finest. All right. Can we get Pat on the phone?
We got about a minute.
Okay. Actually, I've got a phone number.
Okay.
Oh, he's calling back? Okay. He's calling back.
By the way, in that bad beats region, a great 3-14 matchup. Craig Kilborn and Kevin Frazier.
Oh, boy. Dude. I love K. Frage, but
yeah, he ain't. Kilborn's taking.
I'm just saying, two guys that did sports and then went to the entertainment biz.
I know that. Well, yeah, they did. We're back with more in a second. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. He's one of my favorite guys that I've gotten to meet. I'll say that. And his show is phenomenal, and his podcast is phenomenal. He's got a great sense about what works in this day and age as content and how to communicate it. And also, he's on brand because he's a punter from back in the day. And he's two for the price of one today. Pat McAfee back here on the Rich Eisen Show from the Pat McAfee Show. And Pat, who do you have? You want to introduce our guests together? Pat?
Rich, it is an absolute honor to be on your show once again. The voice of the NFL on a day-to-day basis on YouTube and radio stations everywhere. It's an honor to chat with you, sir. I can't wait to see what you do with the NFL draft. Joining you and I today for our standard conversation is the other half of the McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk Show, which is currently live on YouTube right now.
Really?
Currently live on YouTube alongside Rich Eisen Show that is currently live on YouTube, Mr. A.J. Hawk.
Rich, what's happening, man? I don't have a huge, long intro monologue for you, but it's good to be with you.
So you're live on YouTube, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on the radio. I mean, they can't contain us right now, is what you're saying, Pat, right?
Well, I'm very intrigued on how this tech is working, to be honest, because some days you can't even connect a phone call. The fact that we're live on two different platforms and then also a radio station is beautiful, and I don't think there's anybody doing it like this right now, Rich,
I agree.
Especially with how handsome A.J. Hawk is. Have you seen this guy's face, Rich?
No, well, not lately. AJ, do you want to describe your face for me?
No, I don't, Rich. But you know what? Pat gave me the idea. He said, "Hey, I'm supposed to go on Rich Eisen at 120. What do you think if we call into Rich's show and we're on there with him?" And I said, "Yeah, why would you not? The great Rich Eisen. I grew up watching you on TV. I still watch you and listen to everything you do." So,
thanks, AJ.
Like I said before, it's a pleasure to be with you,
dude. You're a good man. All right, let's get into some content. Pat and you and AJ could bat it around. I'll just hop in a little bit too as we're directing traffic a little bit here. And again, we're on the radio as well as YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show. What do you think of Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneer? Patrick, what do you think of that idea?
You know what, Rich? I've been watching you since I was like 4 or 5 years old. And ever since I've watched you cover the NFL, I know that there's always a couple different ways to look at things and perspective. And I think the way to look at this particular move is it's not the sexiest pick. I don't think Tampa Bay is the sexiest pick. Nobody thought Tampa Tommy was going to be the move, and nobody thought a city like Tampa Bay would be the one that would land the greatest of all time for his first time in free agency in 20 years. But if you start looking at the pieces of the puzzle down there, the picture starts coming a lot more clear because Bruce Arians is not only handing over roster control, and he's an OG surrounded by a bunch of old coaches who've been there, done that with everything, but you got Godwin, you got Mike Evans, everybody's saying Antonio Brown is tied at the hip with Tom Brady. You bring him down to Tampa, and that Todd Bowles defense that went from 32 to 5 last year, all of a sudden you're talking about a real contender. Now, I think the Patriots will be a good football team because Belichick won't allow them to completely suck. But I think they're much more in a rebuilding phase than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in a potential win-it-now phase. And that's why you bring in the handsome-ass Tom Brady. And I'm not sure how A.J. Hawk feels, but that's how I feel about the whole thing.
AJ?
Well, no, so, Rich, I have a question for you. It seems like it was between Tampa Bay and the L.A. Chargers for Tom Brady. That's what it seemed like, the two likely candidates. Why do you think he chose Tampa, aside from the massive weapons he has on offense and potentially bringing in Antonio Brown?
I mean, if I had a ballpark it, other than the geographic soundness of being on the East Coast based on his family situation, I think the big answer would be, you look at Los Angeles, and if they are geographically unsound, that's number one. But then number two, with all due respect, and we say that around here, fully well aware that what's about to come next is somewhat disrespectful, but we feel that we have immunized ourselves to sounding disrespectful. Bruce Arians is the difference. I mean, BA is one of the best humans I've ever come across. Anthony Lynn is a great human as well. But Bruce Arians has all that experience in talking to quarterbacks, and has all that experience with Tom Moore, who Brady knows from Peyton Manning, is such a resource. And then you plug Evans and Godwin into it. You tack on no state tax, and you got yourself a winner.
I think, Rich, I think you're 100% accurate in that statement. The no-state tax is going to go a long way, too, in every single decision between Florida and California. But I think when Peyton and Tom Brady, their friendship has really started to blossom. On Peyton's places, they were golfing in Jim Nance's backyard. I mean,
right.
I think Peyton told Tom what life was like for Peyton in the NFL. Like, hey, if I wanted a guy cut, I could get a guy cut. If I wanted to do this, I could do this. And Tom Brady realized that 20 years into this thing, he had literally no control over a lot of things that a lot of other great and iconic quarterbacks have had control over. And I think Peyton probably said, like, hey, B.A. is a good guy to be around, especially at this stage. He understands that you guys are going to work together. Clyde Christensen, the quarterback coach, is one of Peyton's favorite humans. I mean, I think Peyton Manning might have had a little bit more say in this entire decision than people could imagine. But I think whenever you start looking at it, it feels like it's the right decision. And I'm not 100% sure the media people love it, because Tampa isn't like, it's Tampa. It's not like Miami or Boston or New York or L.A. But I feel like they're going to really do some damage down there. And I think that when the stories come out, I think Peyton is potentially going to be a part of the conversation piece for Tom Brady.
Well, I got to jump in here, Pat, and pull on that string a little bit. You got a good story of Peyton getting somebody cut?
So I don't know if I ever saw him actually cut somebody, but there was a couple times where in training camp a player would zig when they were clearly supposed to zag, and there would be some frustration from the sheriff. And then all of a sudden, that guy just wasn't on the team the next day. And I don't know if that was Peyton, or if I didn't know if that was Bill Polian or the offensive people. But if Peyton wanted a guy on the field for something, that person was on the field for something. That's why you see him and his wide receivers have such great relationships, because for Peyton, he had to work very, very hard. So those reps in practice, they had to go very, very hard. And if Peyton wanted a curfew during the Super Bowl week, there was a curfew during the Super Bowl week. If Peyton wanted the practice to go longer, the practice would go longer. If Peyton wanted to do something in the weight room, that would happen. Was that what it was like in Green Bay with Aaron and them, AJ? Did Aaron have that type of power?
Well, I don't think anyone really had the power that Peyton had. Like, I don't know, maybe back in the day, but no, in Green Bay, I think it was Aaron has plenty of power, but I don't think he ever chose to really use it like that if he wanted. Like, if he wasn't, like you said, if someone zigged and they should have zagged, he's going to definitely coach his guys up, but it wasn't like he's going to get someone cut, or I don't know if he had the power or not. If he really wanted to, and he wanted to go into the GM's office and tell him, yeah, maybe it would happen. But I think Peyton, what you witnessed with Peyton Manning in Indianapolis was like an unprecedented level of power that a quarterback had that we're not really going to see moving forward.
And Pat, Pat McAfee, AJ Hawk here together on the Rich Eisen show, and we're here together on each other's YouTube pages. It's pretty crazy. Go ahead and subscribe to theirs, subscribe to mine as well, and we'll all be all better off for it. And you got a front row seat too, Patrick, on what Bruce Arians could do with a quarterback, right? And his attitude and what he did. Taking over for Chuck Pagano back in what turned out to be a Coach of the Year campaign for him in 2012. You got a good story on that front, Pat?
Yeah, I think BA is just so authentic, and I think that's what players resonate with. He's very consistent. Bruce Arians is always going to be Bruce Arians. He's very competitive, and it feels as if he is also playing in the game with you. I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of people, but he's the first offensive coordinator and last offensive coordinator where it felt as if he was in the game with you. Before the game, him going to talk to guys, it was as if a teammate was talking. It felt like Bruce Arians was just as competitive and just as wanting to win as everybody else. And I told this story, I think, yesterday or the day before, either on my show or McAfee and Hawk or the Office Olympics, which are at 3 o'clock every single day, youtube.com/Steve McAfee Show. I told this story about how in the first OTAs that Bruce Arians was there with the offense, he always had his signature look, the Kangol hat and the shorts, and he would wear shoes, and obviously the standard Bruce Arians look that we've all come to know. One OTA practice, he showed up in the next morning wearing all black. He had a black Kango hat on, he had a black shirt on, black everything. And I mentioned it, I was like, "Oh, new look today, Bruce." And he goes, "Yeah, it's a funeral. We murdered them defensive boys yesterday." And then the whole defense was there. They heard him say it. And they're like, "Oh, no." Like, he would chirp in practice against the defensive players. Like, I just think that Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, and we've seen Tom Brady, how, he's very emotional. He will get loud. He is the type of guy who's like that. I think he and Bruce will feed off each other in a very good fashion. And I'm kind of excited to see those two kind of hook up, to be honest with you.
A.J. Hawk, Pat McAfee together. A.J., what's going on with the Houston Texans players right now in the locker room based on what happened with DeAndre Hopkins being sent away? What do you think's happening between the temples of anybody that plays for the Houston Texans right now?
Well, I think they're all texting each other right now, seeing if any of them had, like, "Hey, man, did you ever have any interactions like this?" Like DeAndre, like Michael Irvin claimed that DeAndre had. But first off, I give DeAndre a lot of credit for coming out and kind of downplaying it and trying to make it less of a story and say it kind of got taken out of context. It's not what it seemed. But, they're probably looking at each other thinking, what's our plan moving forward? We just traded away our best receivers, one of the best receivers in the NFL, and we didn't get a whole lot back. Yeah, we got a good running back coming over. We know that he can definitely revive his career here in David Johnson. But I don't know. I think they're all a bit confused. I really do.
Pat?
Well, I think they're looking at that trade Detroit made today, and they're saying, you know what? At least we got a second-rounder for DeAndre instead of a third-rounder for the new highest-paid corner in the league who's a man-to-man. You know what I mean? I think there's been a couple decisions this week of free agency that make you go, what the hell is going on? But if you're down there with Houston, you got to remember they had a hell of a run this year. They were up, 20 on the Super Bowl champs at one point in the playoffs, and then obviously they give that up. Deshaun Watson was making magic happen. That team, it seemed like they were potentially close to almost making it, like almost becoming a real squad. And now you trade away. And now there's always going to be conversations of who the best wide receiver in the game is. There's always going to be that conversation, and there's situational things that come up, and you can't outright say who the best wide receiver in the game is. There's probably 5 people, though, that are in that conversation, 4 people that are in that conversation for every single year who the best wide receiver is. And DeAndre Hopkins is in that conversation for almost everybody. The guy makes insane catches. It seems as if the story that came out about his mom and his teammates, and now they're saying there was a struggle of power in the locker room. Okay, so his teammates like him a lot if there's a struggle of power at all. It doesn't make a lot of sense to us, and I think Arizona got a good one over there, and I'd assume the rest of the team is questioning what the hell the motive is.
I got Pat McAfee and A.J. Hawk here together on their show that's on their YouTube page. We're on our YouTube page. I'm on my radio station, McAfee and Hawk, a sports show. Go and check their show out and subscribe there, and also subscribe here at youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. We're also on our radio affiliate. We're kind of Ghostbusters like crossing streams together. You're taking a look in what they're doing right there?
Yeah. So we're watching your guys' feed on your page, guys. And AJ, did I notice? Are you ripping a cigar right now? Is that what's happening?
It's in our show open. There's a cigar on the thing. Yeah,
that's the show.
Which is just the times we're living in now. We're all stuck in the house.
Okay. And everybody in the house doesn't mind you smoking a cigar in the house right now, AJ? That's fine?
Well, I do have 4 young kids. Luckily, I'm up like in an attic that is quarantined off, and the smoke does not travel throughout the house, and I have multiple ways to get the smoke out of the house.
Properly ventilated, I hope. Yeah. Okay, guys. So we do this bit here the last couple of weeks. Rich has one of the worst Uber ratings we've ever seen. He's a 4.54, which is virtually unheard of. So just curious, do you guys know what your Uber ratings are?
I asked A.J. Hawk to look up his, too, because when Rich asked me to look this up, and by the way, I think I was with Rich when he realized that his Uber rating was so terrible.
You're right. I was with you.
Yeah.
I was with you in Indy. I hit the Uber button, and I'm like, damn, this is still in the tank. That's right.
It was a real moment over here. I mean, Brock, it was a real moment. Everybody started questioning Rich. I mean, there was a lot of conversation happening.
And Pat, honestly, have you ever heard of someone with that low of a rating? That's unheard of.
You know, I don't use the Uber that much, okay? So I wanted to look up mine before judging Rich. I have a 4.81 rating.
Okay.
Well done.
I was told that's not that good either, but I have this move where if I request an XL SUV and you come with some trash Toyota Highlander that is not an SUV, I will cancel my trip. Yeah, I will cancel my trip. I've been told that probably knocked me down.
Yeah, canceling no good.
So.
Well, they're lying to me. I don't care. I'll cancel a trip right in their faces. You're lying to me. This is not. And then I think what really brought my rating down was I once drove an Uber that I got because the guy was driving too slow. So I asked him to get out of the car. He sat shotgun. I drove his car. That's a 100% true story. It's 100% true story.
That has to break every liability clause in any contract that might be in the fine print, Pat. So you said, get out, I'm driving? Is that right?
I had to figure out how to address it. Right? Because I was sitting in the back seat, and I knew I was not going to make my flight if this guy continued to drive in the fashion that he was driving.
Right.
I was kind of locked into the spot. So I had to figure out how you address getting the Uber driver out of his own car seat. So I told him, is this your last run of the day? And he was like, no, it's my first. So I was going to try to be like, if it's your last one, take it off. So I had to attack him in 4 different ways. And basically the way I got him out of there is I told him that I would pay him $150 cash if he just let me drive his car. And he got out, sat in a shotgun, and said, do your thing. He tried to fall asleep during the ride. Thankfully, we made it. I made the flight, and we moved forward. But I assume that gave me a good three-star rating in that case.
I don't know, $150.
A tip like that, automatic 5
What about you, AJ? What's your Uber rating? What's yours?
So my rating was 4.92. I didn't know if that was good or not. Is it?
Yeah.
Is that good or not? Is it good? Oh, Aaron Hawk. That's legit right there.
Wow.
Yeah, Aaron, it's good.
Of my, see, I've had to cancel rides, too. I don't cancel them like Pat. I don't all of a sudden see the guy's face pop up and it shows me his car, and I'm like, oh, that's not good enough for me. I've never done that. I'm not that, high class like Pat is. But I've canceled them if if they're 5 minutes away and I see another one that's 2 minutes away. I've done that. That makes me worry about my rating.
I want to stretch my knees out. Okay, I can't do that in your Highlander. I know it. You know it.
What do you need? What do you need? A Sprinter van?
No, I need at least a Silverado though. I need at least a Silverado back there. I need a little bit of space. I need a Denali. I need something that has Suburban's good. Something that gives me a little bit of space.
Well, there goes the Toyota sponsorship for AJ and for Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk, a sports show. But you've got at least a lot more. It's a deep end of the pool. I cannot understand it. I've got people telling me that they vomited in cars with better ratings. Now I got a guy saying you're driving too slow. Get the hell out. I'm driving. And he's got a better rating than me.
It's like the hell? Now I'm driving the bus.
All right, Pat, AJ, this is a blast. Let's do this more often. This is fun. This is good.
We should figure out the tech because we were trying to stream your show on our stream, but it's a couple seconds behind.
So all right, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right, Pat, AJ, good chatting with you guys. Let's stay in touch.
Appreciate it, Rich.
Right back at
you.
you.
Be well, fellas.
That is Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk. They have their own sports show on their own YouTube feed.
Damn it. Tremendous.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun right there. Boy,
492. Is that good?
We have squeezed every bit of juice out of this concept that for some reason my Uber rating's in the toilet.
492 Club with AJ Hawk. I'll take that.
Aaron Hawk.
Aaron Hawk, that's right.
All right. 844-204-RICH.
What did you do, honestly?
I have no idea.
What
nothing.
did you do?
I did nothing.
This guy took over the dude's vehicle.
I did nothing.
Said get out.
I did nothing. I swear
That's
I did nothing.
Borderline Grand Theft Auto.
I did nothing.
And he got a 481.
I'll keep repeating it. I did zero. I did nothing. I don't deserve it. Let's put it that way. I point the finger in other directions. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. We'll take your phone calls, and when we come back here on the Rich Eisen Show, and also, I guess, the reality that Cam Newton is beginning to face. That's next on the program. Okay, coming over here, TJ Jefferson.
Sit in?
Yeah. Don Bowie is saying that you go around and sit down in the seat. Oh, he's bringing his wipes and everything.
We'll watch the wall. Mike and I will watch the wall.
We will find out if they come. Don't even say it, right?
Just it's like Fight Club. Just don't even utter the word.
Yeah, Mac the Knife said, I urine sprayed the drivers from the back seat. No, I did not, Mac.
Whoa. Mac the Knife.
No, I did not.
Mac the Knife is an OG in the wormhole.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's one of our OGs.
Oh, we have an OG in the wormhole.
Well,
He's an OG 454.
I think Mac the Knife. He's been asking if he can make T-shirts.
He changed his avatar to 454.
Did he really?
Mac the Knife.
All right.
Mac the Knife pushes 454 harder than anyone, and he wants to make T-shirts and donate to a charity.
Oh, we're all for that, as you know.
So Brockman told him we ride for St. Jude.
We ride for St. Jude here, man.
So shout out to Mac the Knife.
Yeah, and I know. I just did. I did not urine spray anybody. I've never done that in my entire life. I assume I know what that means. Has anybody commented on the fact that I wore the cardigan today?
Yeah, I mean, we get the sweater business out early.
This is blue.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Navy blue.
I can tell
it's sharp.
blue.
It's a navy blue cardigan.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I got going on.
I mean, you are what you've done for sweaters. You've taken the baton from Mr. Rogers.
Right.
And now you've become the king of the sweater.
You know what I'm doing tonight?
TJ, we got to fix your camera. What are you doing today?
You know what I'm doing tonight? I am, we're going to play our weekly poker game this evening.
Are you going to do it
Skype?
Virtually? Using an app and Zoom.
Did you get that idea from Brian Koppelman?
Yeah, I did.
I did. Yeah, I saw him tweet about that.
He did. And I direct message him, don't fix his camera. Screw it. Are you going to do it? Just yeah, he called me. He called me and told me what he did. Yeah, I got that from Koppelman. We're going to try that out tonight.
So
it'll be like in the middle of a hand, you know.
That's going to be great.
This is going to happen tonight. Let's say I get big slick, flop comes trash, right? Flop comes trash, which always happens with an ace king.
When you have ace king.
When you have ace king and
it never comes to
no color,
it's
there's
never,
no nothing.
It's never ace 4-2.
Right, and I start because I'm like trying to figure this out, the device or the app, and I'm like, I'm just going to start pushing. Just push, just try to figure this out. I'll probably bet more than I wanted because I screwed up the whole
hit the button,
all that. And then my 11-year-old will be just strolling in. What are you doing, Dad?
Is ace king good?
Yeah,
he's definitely going to do that.
Yeah, is ace king good?
Is that good? What is ace K, Daddy?
And just blow up my whole gambit.
I got to be honest with you.
That's definitely happening.
You're speaking Mandarin to me because as Brockman will tell you, and it really annoys him. I don't understand.
I've been trying to teach this guy for the last year, and he has no idea.
That's all right.
That'll be fun, though. Yeah, let me know how
One
that
of
works.
the things that my poker buddies will now, and Hank Azaria was the guy who created the game, is that for a couple years before we had kids, Susie and I would host the game in my house.
Right.
And when I hosted the game in my house, I would be very, I invited Rod Woodson to play many times. Lincoln Kennedy would show up. And anytime that he would look at you, and the guys would just like freak out, like there's Lincoln kind of staring at you, one of the sweetest human beings ever. Like, what do you have? My buddy Doug, he still reminds me of this today, got so upset with him check raising Rod Woodson. I'm like, come on, man, why are you check raising Rod Woodson? And he gives me crap about it all the time.
That's a good fantasy name.
Check raising Rod Woodson.
Yeah.
Because you can't, that's what you do. It doesn't matter how many career interceptions you have. Doesn't matter how career interceptions you have.
That
The
means
house.
nothing
Actually,
at the poker table.
That's why you check raise him. It was early on in my poker playing life. Check raise is you check, meaning I'm not betting. You make them think that you have nothing, and then when they put money in, you go in with
over
more.
the top.
That sounds a little dirty.
Well, it's not dirty. It's a strategy.
Yeah, it's a move.
It's a poker maneuver that you do.
Yeah.
But here I was like, how dare you check raise my friend Rod Woodson?
Hey, speaking of large men,
are we almost back before you go?
We got about a minute.
But I
hear the
hate
music,
to,
Rich.
by the way,
Music.
I hate to cut you off with that very interesting
great.
opening gambit, to use the word gambit again.
But Lincoln, I'm just saying, we always talk about men.
I know.
He's a gigantic.
And yet, Lilliputian, meaning very, very small.
I minored in English.
Compared to Jonathan Ogden.
I was just going to ask that question to you and Chris.
Compared to Jonathan Ogden, he looks like a member of the Lollipop Gang.
Who's
or
bigger?
Guild, which is a very old pop culture reference.
Ogden, Roaf,
actually,
or Kennedy?
it's not Mr. Rogers. It's over the rainbow. My gosh, it's it's Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
Okay, we're back in a moment.
Time to go kill some butts.
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. So if you're Cam Newton, where do you go? If the Los Angeles Chargers say no because it looks like their play for Tom Brady was the only way that they would break up their plan of sticking with Tyrod Taylor and then drafting a rookie to learn under him, and they say no. The Bears have made their play with Foles. The Raiders have made their play with Mariota. The Colts are going to stick with Brissett and Phillip Rivers. The Bucs obviously have Brady. They're not going to sign Cam Newton. Would the Jaguars do it? Right?
Good spot. Considering how close they were 2 years ago.
Outside of that, where are the other options? And Jameis has got the same situation. Who would basically say, Cam, we'll do it? And that's why Mooch said Washington. Maybe you bring him in there in a one-year prove-it deal while Dwayne Haskins still gets his sea legs under him.
I just keep thinking about, in terms of Jameis, what Peter King told us a couple weeks ago, that Pittsburgh would be a great spot for him to be the backup, learn.
Right, and then when Big Ben's gone, you got Jameis.
Yeah, and then look, Big Ben couldn't finish last year, so we saw what happened in Pittsburgh. If Big Ben can't finish this year, boom, you got a quality starter waiting in the wings.
Is it possible Belichick sits here and goes, maybe, for Cam?
Just to stick it to every... Oh, I thought
honestly,
you meant Jameis.
I forget. No, not Jameis. Cam. That I forget who said it on NFL Network during the free agency frenzy coverage, but hey, Belichick had a front row seat to see how Lamar Jackson diced him up and how a run pass threat in this league is where you got to go. Just don't know how much of the run threat Cam has anymore. Don't forget, Christian McCaffrey was the one that they leaned on to try and go wide to get one inch against Tampa last year, and he didn't just go straight up. You know, I just think that that's just fascinating to me. Certainly with all the reports that Belichick was shocked by Brady saying, I'm not coming. If Darlington knows that Brady wasn't coming, right? And if anybody in the know knows that Brady wasn't coming, the Patriots had to be the one in the know too. They got to know also. That stuff like Bill's like, what? You're not coming? Like, what does shocked mean?
Yeah, I'm sure Bill had a sense. I would imagine that Robert Kraft was probably a little surprised. I'm sure he always thought Tom was coming back.
But if those who knew Tom or were close to him enough for a reporter to get a vibe and a good sense and to have the story down, as Darlington did, how did the Patriots not get that sense? They might have hoped that when it all came down to it, he wouldn't go somewhere, but I mean... I don't know if I buy that the Bill was shocked or a little shocked or surprised. I don't know about that. I might be wrong.
Me neither, yeah.
I might be wrong.
You should lob your BFF a text and see what he says.
I think I'll stay out of it. Well, one person who might know all of that is Willie McGinest, coming up in hour number 3. My compadre from NFL Network, 3-time Super Bowl champion, guy who preceded Bill Belichick as coach there. He was Parcells' guy. So he preceded Bledsoe, didn't he?
He was the year after Bledsoe.
He was the year after Bledsoe.
Drew was 93, Will was 94.
Got it. So, yeah, Bledsoe was the first pick for the Kraft Parcells grocery shopping. Or I guess Parcells probably shopped for that grocery and then stopped a little bit more. 844-204-RICH. We'll take your phone calls. Chris Brockman's news update, Willie McGinest. That's coming up in hour number 3. End of hour number 2, Capital One poll question update. Reimagine banking Capital One has by offering savings and checking accounts with no fees or minimums, one of the nation's best savings rates. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Chris, what do we have over there?
Which available quarterback would you want to be your team's starter? Cam Newton, guys, 56%.
Yeah. Oh, and what's Jameis? Because
Jameis has just passed Andy. Jameis is 20%, Andy Dalton 19%.
There you go. Andy Dalton's going to be available. And one of those three, if not maybe all three, will be backup quarterbacks in the league this year. How about that?
That's hard to believe.
Hour 3 coming up next on The Rich Eisen Show. Willie McGinest, your calls at 844-204-RICH and more. Welcome back to our youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show viewers. You're sitting in our chat room, which we've dubbed the wormhole. And if you are regulars there, I guess they dubbed themselves this, right? We let them figure out what they want to call themselves.
Yeah, they call themselves the 454 crew.
Because, again, that's my Uber rating that won't be going up or definitely down anytime soon. And it's Mike Del Tupo's hey, the last 2 digits of my Uber rating is how old you are today.
Hey, now.
Yes.
I just realized
You're as old as a Super Bowl, Mike.
Yeah.
Now, I don't recall this. I don't recall this. So I'll be watching just like the rest of you. Mike Del Tufo, dating advice.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I know what this is now. Got it. Check it out. This is great. I had no idea we're now having an Ask Mike Del Tufo social media Twitter segment. The first one was, what's a good first date? Helicopter ride to Catalina for dinner, then back again if you don't stay overnight.
You this $1 million matchmaker? Like, that's high rolling.
You want to tell Emmanuel what your idea great for a first date is?
Helicopter ride to Catalina, dinner, and back.
Yes.
Really? For a
first
date? Somebody that you've just met?
Hell yeah.
Really?
You want to make an impression?
You wouldn't be totally freaked out if somebody...
No, I would be like, wow, this is your first date? I can't wait to see what the second date is.
That would be a flight to San Francisco for dinner.
Now it just gets creepier.
I mean, listen, if that person is into all of those things, yeah.
Oh, my.
All right, Del Tufo, you're in.
Wow.
I have no comment.
Now, you're so sweet. What would be a no-no for you?
You want to know, like, lame?
Yeah, sure.
Like, if a first date was like, yeah, so let's go get dinner and go see a movie, I'd be like, no.
Really?
A movie? You can do that, like, when you've been dating for 6 months.
What if the movie's Super Troopers 2?
Okay.
Tell Michelle Beadle what your answer was to somebody's question of what's your perfect idea of a perfect first date.
A helicopter ride from Los Angeles to Catalina for dinner and then back.
Wow. For the first date?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle.
Who is this girl? That's a lot. I don't want to die with some stranger on a first date in a helicopter.
I'm 1 and 1. I'll take my one. I'll take the 500.
Emmanuel Shrieky said she loved it.
I mean, she's more woman than me. Anyway. I take her word now. I'm back on board.
Thanks, Michelle.
Because, again, I would think, too, if, first date, you need to figure out beforehand if you hit it off. You really got to really consider that.
No, this is like your dream.
Because you're, if the conversation begins to ebb or flag or they say something or you say something that they find like totally offensive.
You're stuck with them the whole
like
day.
Now that's the whole thing. It's like if you're in a regular restaurant or you're in a regular date,
I get that.
It could be just like, let's just repair to our respective Ubers and go home. Right? Like this is an hours-long commitment that if it begins to start going south and you're like, God, this is the worst thing ever.
But this is the dream date. If this is someone like...
It's like but Chris Harrison isn't there to mediate.
I get that.
Like that's what it sounds like, right?
This is like you've been waiting
Roger
for
Lodge.
this. This is the perfect girl, woman, whoever you're going after.
If you just met them and it's the first time you're literally spending, the intimate time together.
You gotta have an escape clause.
You gotta have an out if it goes bad.
That's what I'm thinking. That's why I always thought that was a little bit. And plus, I remember back in my dating days when I was trying to just fit my opportunity to meet somebody in my off days from SportsCenter when I was out of Connecticut in New York City. And I would just go up to somebody and I'd say, hey, my next off day is in 8 days. Can you want to have dinner in 8 days? And they just look at me like, what sort of weirdo are you?
Right.
Hey, how about let's go to Catalina, which, by the way, is an island off of the coast of Southern California here. That's why I would think that it's kind of grandiose. But, hey, Emmanuel Shrieky said,
I
that was
turned
great.
Michelle Beadle around.
Thank God for you, Rich. There was no Uber back then.
Oh, stop it.
Previously on the Rich Eisen Show.
Anybody that's out there that says players shouldn't go get theirs whenever they can, loyalty is a two-way street. Cam Newton, first overall selection of the Carolina Panthers, won an MVP, took the team to the Super Bowl, and now Cam's looking for a new team. In the same way that Bill O'Brien's basically telling everybody, I got a plan here, trust me, Matt Rule better be ready for the same thing in Carolina. If they don't win, fan base is going to be all over Matt Rule.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now.
Y'all ready for this?
Rich Eisen.
We need you, Tom. I beg you. I plead with you. Please, Mr. Brady. We got to get you, Tom.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
Quarterback careers are so fascinating.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Nick Foles, $1 gajillion in the free agent market this time last year.
My heart's pounding in my chest just to be a part of Jacksonville and be a part of this community.
Heard nationwide, televised online at RichEisenShow.com.
And now he's been traded to the Chicago Bears for a compensatory fourth-round selection.
Goodbye.
You got to get yours when you get yours.
Earlier on the show, ESPN NFL reporter Jeff Darlington, former All-Pro punter Pat McAfee. Coming up, NFL Network analyst Willie McGinest. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Hour number 3 of the Rich Eisen Show on the air. Phone lines are lit. We always appreciate that. We'll take your calls in a second. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. We've had a lot of fun so far with Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk together. Them on there. I had no idea when Pat's like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll call in tomorrow. That I guess their schedule changed where he and AJ Hawk were doing a show together. And on their YouTube page. You know, and that's how we're showing our television version of our simulcast. And that was fun. It was fun. We compared Uber ratings. Once again, we have yet to find somebody who's worse than me. Jeff Darlington in hour number 1 saying, keep an eye out for Todd Gurley, everybody. Maybe being on the move. The problem for him, though, is that no one's going to basically accept him until their own doctors can take a look at him. And, you know, during our first hour, there was that press conference coming out today. It's just yet another moment of being really nervous about what may be coming with this virus, COVID-19, and the preparation for it, and the first line of defense in emergency rooms, and whether everybody has the equipment for what may be coming. So I will say this, just to repeat what I'm hearing from so many folks in government, certainly at the state level, and certainly from Dr. Fauci. I'll just repeat it here into this microphone. If you are sick, stay home. If you are moderately sick, stay home. If you have trouble breathing, go to the hospital. But if you feel you are healthy, or you may not have this, or you're thinking you might be getting it, call your doctor. And if you are in a position where you don't have a doctor, call some form of a clinic and explain what you've got going on. It's much better than you showing up in person and potentially getting sick yourself, or potentially getting somebody else sick, when you can safe harbor yourself in place and be able to get through it. Scary times, there's no doubt about it. So, again, as long as we're healthy and here and being able to do this, next week, though, you know, I'll just tell you right now, it was the week in which my wife and I were going to take our kids on spring break, and we're going to take next week off anyway, so I can be home and hunker down with my family. But after that, we'll be back here as best we can and keep doing this, as long as we're all healthy. And in that respect, celebrating life, happy birthday to you, Mike Del Tufo.
Thanks,
top
Rich.
of hour number 3. Your phone calls at 844-204-RICH. Chris Brockman's news update coming in a second, but I do want to take a few phone calls right here. Our buddy Jeff in Detroit's been hanging on for quite some time. Let's take Jeff's phone call at 844-204-RICH. What's on your mind, my nephew?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Beautiful way of putting things, Anka. I love it when you speak.
I appreciate you saying that.
Just called in to do as I usually do. Happy birthday to my man, Dale Truthful.
Thanks, my brother Jeff.
Guy.
Thank you.
Also, with Tom changing over to a new team, do you think we'll see a different Tom Brady at the podium? I kind of liken it from one, you've been in Princeton, you can't have no fun, you always study. Now you're at a party school. You know what I'm saying? You've done everything. You got all of the trophies.
That's an interesting point, Jeff.
Talk a little bit more.
Jeff, that's an interesting I look forward to that because obviously if there are press conferences, that means that we can have more than 10 people in a room, and that means we're somewhat back to normal. That's the first thing that I'm taking. And then number two, if Brady was a great point right there, Jeff, is that if Brady was an perfect extension of his coach for 20 years, you'd have to think that is still going to be Brady's mindset in his new spot. What will it look like to have a quarterback who's a perfect extension of Bruce Arians? And how will Brady look different, right, Chris? I mean,
Tom could throw for 6,000 yards next year.
But I'm just talking about personality-wise and expressing what the sensibilities of the staff and the sensibilities of what is being preached and practiced there. If Brady did that for Bill, what will that look like in Brady's voice for Bruce, right, Jeff?
Yep. The Patriot way is no longer needed up in here, too.
Interesting. Thanks for the call, Jeff. You take care. That's an interesting thought. What will Tom be like?
I think Tom has been a robot for 20 years. It's really hard to break that. And so I can't imagine Tom getting up there at press conferences and being totally, completely candid, like, say, maybe Deshaun Watson was this year or
and then
some
again,
of these other guys.
This is something I want to talk to Willie about, too, is that he has, and I think Michael Irvin brought it up, too, is that he's known for years, and this was before he chose Tampa, he's known for years that the coach had a certain expectation of players and that if you zagged instead of zigged, Bill would take care of it. But as Pat McAfee pointed out in hour two, Tom would love to be able to take care of the ones who zig and not zag either. And I'm sure, we don't know, Bill might have taken that into account when Brady would tell him stuff or he saw it himself. But Tom is going to...
the fifth.
That's right. Now here comes Tom in his spot, and maybe some other players might not have the same sensibilities that he's used to. Then again, it's not like Bruce Arians is running a summer camp. Let's take one more phone call before your news update. How does that sound, Christopher?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go to Danny in Baltimore. You're here on the Rich Eisen Show. You've been hanging on the longest. We'll take your call. You there?
We're on him.
Danny in Baltimore. Did I get the wrong one? Or is he in Augusta, Georgia? Did I get that wrong one?
Danny.
Do you stand for goodness or badness? You there? Let's do one more try of it. Okay, let's put him back on hold.
Didn't want to do it.
Let's go. Let's get to your news update, and then we'll get some more for phone calls. We'll get that all in line. Chris Brockman's news update is brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event. If you're looking for the perfect addition to your garage this spring, look no further. Just head into your local Honda dealer and get a great deal on the 2020 Honda Passport today.
And now, with a report of the day's news from the world of sports and entertainment, someone who is not a journalist or newsman by any definition of the word whatsoever, it's Chris Brockman.
Christopher?
We had Jeff Darlington on in hour number one, but as he tweeted out this morning in regards to Tom Brady, no concern over finding a doctor to perform Tom Brady's physical. He's going to make that happen in New York today, if it's not done so already. It would be ideal if it were the Bucs team doctors, but unprecedented times. Everyone is on the same page, and everything is moving along just fine. Expect Tom Brady to sign with Tampa sometime soon.
I think it might be happening, and sometime soon, as in today. We might actually hear that officially.
I still can't believe that.
2 times against Breeze, 2 times against Matt Ryan, 2 times at home, once against Mahomes, and once against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, the schedule was set up nice for Brady this year. Obviously, the 8 home games in Tampa, warm weather, good confines. 4 of his 8 road games in domes this year. Set up nicely for Tom Brady.
And if the one that they do visit Chicago, Nick Foles starts, I mean, we've seen that matchup before.
That was the all-time yardage in Super Bowl history.
That's right.
And, of course, Super Bowl 55 in Tampa this year.
Mm-hmm. Let's hope we get there, man.
Yeah.
I know so many people are absolutely freaked right now. We just got to get this thing tested. We got to get people tested so we know who has it, we know who needs to be quarantined, and maybe some of us can get out of our homes and the economy roaring again here. What else, Chris?
A couple other NFL things. NFL Network reporting in regards to Todd Gurley. Of course, Mike Silver has been saying he might be traded for the last couple of days. The NFL Network is saying that the Rams must pay Todd Gurley $10.5 million after 4 p.m. today.
Okay.
If he's still on the roster. So it appears we have about an hour and 50-minute window if anything's going to happen with Todd Gurley.
Okay.
Big roster bonus due today for Todd.
$10.5 million.
Baby.
So Todd is going to get that paid by the Rams or by somebody else? Or I'm imagining that somebody else might be talking to Todd about how to
restructure and move this
spread
around.
that out.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you like, Adam Schefter said this morning too, about all of a sudden players are now interested in going to Tampa to play down there. Do you like this idea of a Tampa-based super team?
Wouldn't you if you... We're not building the future. I mean, you again, you want to build for the future. You want to know if you're a system fit, Carolina might be a spot for you, right? Because you know the coach isn't going to get fired, we're assuming, and
they got this hot young coordinator who just
correct. You can go there and
LSU
and build for the long-term future. But let's say you're 28, 29, 30, haven't got that ring, and you want to go someplace with no state tax. Let's go.
Let's go.
Right? I mean, wouldn't you want to go down there too?
Yeah, 100%.
Play for Bruce Arians or Todd Bowles, depending on which side of the football you want. You know these are guys who know what the hell they're doing. They're good humans. You go there, and you know Tom Brady's going to be the man who's from top down in the locker room setting the tone.
You started the super team, bro.
Yeah, right. Wouldn't you want to go do that?
I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, right?
Take your talents to Ybor City.
Take your talents to St. Petersburg.
So, yeah.
Yeah. The other big move in the NFL this morning, Lions trade cornerback Darius Slay to the Eagles.
Yep.
So the Lions for 2 draft picks. So the Lions now have 5 of the top 85 picks in this year's draft, with obviously more to come if they deal out of the 3 spot. Darius Slay agrees to a new deal, a 3-year, $50 million extension, $30 million guaranteed with the Eagles.
That's amazing.
Big move there. Big move there.
Yeah, I saw today Warren Sharp, okay?
Yep.
Tweeted this out, is that Amari Cooper, who has torched Philadelphia in 5 games to the tune of 4 touchdowns, 11.1 yards per attempt, averaging almost 100 yards a game against Philadelphia. Darius Slay has had Cooper across from him twice against Detroit. 12 targets, no touchdowns, 21 yards per game, 33% catch rate, which is half of the catch rate Cooper's had against Philadelphia. So if you're figuring the team that is most dangerous in your division is Dallas, you just got yourself a nice antidote for the guy that Dallas just spent $100 million on retaining. Nice maneuver.
That's a good move.
Nice maneuver.
That's
and only gave up
move.
a 3 and a 5. And obviously all that money, but that's there to be spent. So you spend it on the right guy for the right situation in the right matchup in a matchup league. There you have it. Not a bad move.
NBA note here. Woj is saying the league has informed teams that players are allowed to travel out of the market which they play, but the preference of the league remains that players stay in these
home.
cities.
Yeah, please.
As expected, team facilities are going to close down to players and staff starting tomorrow.
And here's what I will say here, too, is I know that the league does not allow players to get the playbook from their new team, despite the new league year, bringing them into their new team until a certain part in April when organized team activities were allowed. And the reason for that was, and is because the Players Association, and rightfully so, does not, that the players need downtime, right? They need downtime. It's the off season for a reason, but the off season has had some, if you will, mission creep. where more and more teams are expecting players to spend more and more of their time preparing for the upcoming season with their presence in the facility. So the league basically came up with these no contact zone periods to keep any sort of undue pressure being put upon these players of like, hey, man, you should be showing up. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. I think the league should waive that this year and put the playbooks directly in the hands of everybody, because who the hell knows when they're going to be able to be getting back into a facility and also do training camp. I mean, honestly, we got to sit here and think that the league might start up kind of like the lockout season. Late July, everybody's like, let's go back to work. If we're lucky, mid-August, let's go back to work. If we're lucky, the season starts on time. And then what? You're going to start handing out practice schedules then? You might as well get the playbook in the hands of everybody now, because there's nothing but downtime. And nobody is going to be pressured to show up at a facility. I think the league should start considering that right now. And the Players Association should too, because I think it would require their agreement. 844-204-RICH number to dial. You got LeBron over there?
Yeah, we got some LeBron sound.
Okay.
Let's hit that mic. LeBron James updates his quarantine situation.
Quarantined for 14 days and isolated from nobody. Can't even get a haircut from my barber. They want me to stay away from him. I'm looking like Tom Hanks off Castaway. She can't even go and get her hair done, so she gonna just cut him out herself. Little Whoopi Goldberg over here. The struggle is real in the James household right now. Boo, you good? You need some help? You got it? Man, we gotta do what we gotta do.
Yeah, we do. We sure do. Everybody stay safe harbor, please. Let's all get through this together. And hopefully when the testing starts ramping up, and man, do we need to start that now. It's got to happen. And getting medical supplies for the frontline ER officials. Medical supplies are already, you're hearing about it. Ventilators, somehow, some way, the whole country pulling together by making sure if you are healthy, stay home. If you are feeling sick, try and stay home. If you're laboring, breathing, go to the hospital. But once we can try and test and figure out who has it and who doesn't, and begin to actually effectively quarantine people as opposed to mass quarantine coast to coast, which we have to do right now, then maybe we can start flattening that curve and getting out and getting this economy going again. I know everybody is freaked about it, but we also have to stay calm and stay together. That's the crazy thing about this, is the people who are alone right now. The distancing, keeping people alone when we just maybe can connect. And that's why we're trying to do this show as much as we possibly can when we can, if that makes any sense. All right, Willie McGinest is standing by. He just gave me a hardline number. I'm going to send that to you, Don Bowie. So Willie McGinest is coming up next, my compadre from NFL Network. If you're on hold, you should also stay on hold. We will do our best to empty the phone banks as well. That's how we're rolling here on this edition of the Rich Eisen Show on a Thursday in March 2020. Let's talk a little bit again about getting back out there, right? And when the sports season comes back out there again, and it will. I mean, we will get through all this. It will happen one day. Truly believe it. Truly, firmly believe it. And when we get back out there one day and we go into a tailgate, I want to talk about that in specific, because we've been talking about the Honda Ridgeline for quite some time. This is the greatest tailgate vehicle that's ever been put together. Let me just talk about this. The 2020 Honda Ridgeline has got a dual-action tailgate, an available truck bed audio system that we love so much. There's a lockable in-bed trunk, 7.3 cubic feet of space, large enough to fit an 82-quart ice chest, and it features a drain plug if you want to just make it your actual own ice chest. Lockable and features built-in grocery bag hooks, guides for accessory cargo dividers, so you bring all that gear and then you lock it up and you go into the game. Spacious interior, you could bring all your friends' advanced tech like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration. That's available. And, of course, the Honda Sensing Standard Intelligent Traction Management makes you able to take this anywhere you want. Snow, sand, mud, 5,000-pound towing capacity. It's amazing. Test drive the Honda Ridgeline today. Tell them I sent you. Willie McGinest when we come back. Oh, yeah. Way to keep that figure through the years. Oh, happy birthday to you, Mikey.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. Do we have anything left in the chest there? No, we don't?
No.
Okay. All right.
Good job, Mike.
Let me send it. What are they talking about in the wormhole right now as I send this number to call Willie? Anything? Hold on.
A little vitamin talk, but that was it.
A lot of that talk.
All
right.
Yeah, talking about Darius Slay. Old Darius Slay chat.
Like what?
Just how good he
All right,
is, and
let me take a call while we're waiting.
the deal they were able to make.
While we're waiting right here, let's see if Danny in Baltimore wants another crack at it. Danny, you're on the Rich Eisen show. You there?
Hey, Rich, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You're back. How are you?
Gotta love hitting that mute button.
Oh
by
no!
accident.
Oh brother. Okay, what's on your mind?
Hey, I just wanted to say, number one, thank you for all you're doing with the COVID work. Baltimore's doing its part. Taking a walk early in the morning, trying to keep active while being quarantined, and the streets are empty for what a traffic should be at 8 o'clock in the morning.
I'm glad to hear that, Danny, and I hope again everybody understands why this is being done, and hopefully that means we get out sooner.
Oh, 100%. But then what I also wanted to say, I wanted to appreciate the guy that called Lamar Jackson before anyone did. And last season.
You bet.
And then say on top of that, Eric DeCosta is one of the best front office guys in the league, and the Ravens are quietly putting together an even better team than last year. And I just can't be more happy to be a Ravens fan, especially looking at like what Detroit and Houston's doing.
Look, man, obviously Marshall Yonder retiring is significant, but there's no doubt that Eric DeCosta and Ozzie Newsome, who I saw at the Combine, he's still involved.
Which is so thankful.
I know, right? Well, look, Steve Bisciotti knows how to run an organization. Here's the deal: is that they clearly probably when they're getting ready to go to sleep at night, closing their eyes, they still see Derrick Henry coming downhill. So to go out and hit that defensive line, right? To hit that defensive line.
They just announced Campbell officially during your show.
Oh, that's great.
Half an hour ago.
That's great. And then and then Brockers too, right? If I'm not mistaken. So
they haven't. I don't think they've announced Brockers yet, but that could have happened since I hit the mute button.
Okay.
And got overly focused about that.
I don't know. I mean, but they hit the defensive line considerably, and that's what they're smart. So thanks for calling in, Danny. I'm glad we got you off that mute button. Here we go. Did I mistake that? Didn't they get Michael Brockers too? Or no? Did I make that up? He's coming downhill at you? That's one way to fill it. Right? Then they flipped Hayden Hurst to Atlanta for some draft choices, and they still have a million tight ends there.
Yeah, they got to score more than 12 points in a playoff game.
No, I know that. I know that.
Yeah.
That's why I made that point about Cam, is that in 2015, for anybody who needs that point of reference about what Lamar Jackson did this year, he came up short on my big fourth down hot take after week one that Lamar would set the record for most touchdowns accounted for by any Heisman Trophy winner. 45 Cam had that year. 35 touchdown passes, 10 rushing touchdowns.
He was amazing.
Right?
They almost went undefeated.
They made the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, how you doing there? This is Mo the bartender from The Simpsons over in Springfield. Stay out of the bars, people. Come on. Social distancing. I tell you this, you're only eating takeout food and staying away from people. My life is about to dramatically stay exactly the same as it was.
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show, 844-204-RICH. If you're on hold, stay on hold. I want to take the phone call of my compadre from NFL Network and the NFL Media Group. He is a three-time Super Bowl champion from the New England Patriots. Most career postseason sacks in NFL history with 16. He is Willie McGinest. How are you, Willie? You there, Mikey? You got him for me?
Dropped.
Oh, he just dropped.
Yep. Hang on. Well, hopefully we'll get him back.
Damn.
Yeah, he dropped.
You sure that wasn't you just hitting the wrong button, birthday boy?
I had him engaged.
Willie's so distraught over talking about Tampa Bay Buck quarterback Tom Brady.
All right.
He's back.
And he's
Stand by.
calling back in. There's a phone call being made right now. I am tap dancing.
I'll keep you honest.
I'll say, how about this? He is the guest phone line brought to you by my friends at Callaway Chrome Soft, the most advanced tour ball ever. Every aspect of the new Chrome Soft has been re-engineered to deliver their fastest, highest quality, and most consistent tour ball ever. Get your new Chrome Soft or Chrome Soft X golf balls today at CallawayGolf.com. All right, let me take a phone call while we're waiting. I think he's back on. He's back on. You got him? You there, Willie?
I'm here. How you doing, Rich?
Great to chat with you. Willie McGinest here on the Rich Eisen Show. How do you term yourself? What adjective would you use to describe your feelings that Tom Brady is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Willie?
I'm excited for Tom. I'm definitely excited for Tom. I was selfishly wanting him to retire as a Patriot. Of course, a lot of us didn't get the opportunity to do that, Rich. Very few. I think Troy Brown, Teddy Bruschi, the guys from the original clan, didn't really get that opportunity. But, things happen. It's a new adventure for Tom. I'm excited for him, man. I'm happy for him, and we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be interesting.
So obviously your circumstance is different from Tom's, but what can you tell Brady about putting on a different uniform for the first time, like when you grabbed that Browns helmet and Browns uniform for the first time? Willie, what do you think is going to go through his head when he does that for Tampa?
Well, I think the one thing that's going to happen is there's going to be a standard. As soon as he walks through the door, everybody's going to expect a certain standard. If you know Tom and you know the way he's worked in the last 20 years and his expectations, his work ethic, all the different characteristics about him, going into a different building, everybody might not initially be on the same page. And as a player coming from somewhere like that, people are going to want to know everything about what it takes to be a champion. How do you guys continuously and consistently play at a high level, all the tricks, all the different things? And I think that's a great thing. One thing that I found with myself when I went to Cleveland, I didn't want to always say, you got to do it like this, fellas, because we did it like this in New England. That can turn guys off. What I wanted to do was lead by example and just lead through my actions. And I think Tom's going to be the same way. He's never going to discuss the past. He doesn't do that now in New England about previous championships or games or any of that, unless it's relevant to something that's about to happen now. He's going to focus on the future, but he's just going to lead the way with his actions on how to do certain things. And if guys inquire or talk or want to know certain things, he'll probably have those conversations. But I think the standard for the organization is going to be lifted. We already see that with ticket sales and expectations. People are now talking Super Bowl, which we hadn't heard there in I don't know how many years. The work, guys are going to have to work because they're going to see it from him. If a guy going into his 21st year is working harder than guys in their third and fourth year, that's going to be a problem to Tom and, everybody else. So you're going to see the difference in a lot of different things, and it's a good thing, Rich.
Willie McGinest, my compadre and friend from NFL Network, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. I want to get into the why a little bit with you, Willie. I had Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston, who's been covering the team from probably even back in your day as well. I had him on the show just hours after Tom Brady put out on the Instagram, on his Instagram post that he was leaving. And then the statement from Bill Belichick that read at the very end, sometimes in life it takes some time to pass before truly appreciating something or someone, but that has not been the case with Tom. He is a special person and the greatest quarterback of all time. Tom Curran said that somebody from Brady's camp, who he was talking to, said that if Belichick actually said that more in real time, that Brady might still be a Patriot potentially. How does that land with you, Willie?
That makes sense. I mean, Bill has a certain way about him and how he communicates and deals with people, and everybody is different. I think that's what makes the world go round. Everybody's different. Nobody's the same. And, sometimes players need to hear that more or need to experience that a little bit more. I think when you're in the moment, you hate to. You don't like to go back and reminisce and talk about certain things or whatever the case may be because you want to continuously find that grind and find that edge. But when you get to a certain point in any type of relationship, I think it's okay to tell a player or a coach, for that matter, hey, man, you did a great job. You're doing well. I appreciate you, the simple things that people exchange and talk. And I just think that things have been so the same for so long. Sometimes people get used to doing that, whether it's a coach or a player, and you forget some things like the little things matter. And I'm not necessarily sure that because, maybe Belichick didn't tell Brady every day how much he appreciates him and loves him and, thank him for all the opportunities he's put him in and vice versa. That's the reason why he's gone. I think there's other things that also played into that. But, in any type of marriage, any type of relationship, sometimes things run its course. And you got to find different ways to keep that relationship ignited. And, I just think that in this situation, Brady wanted to be there long term. I don't think that was out and try something different. New atmosphere, new coaching style, new team, and just to see what it feels like. And I think that's normal in life and anything.
So then why, because again, Robert Kraft said that if Brady wanted to be a Patriot, he would. Then why, if Tom did want to stay there long term, why didn't it happen? I mean, is it time that Belichick, you think, thought like I need to try something else? Let's move on. We did this making sure he would retire as a Patriot at age 42, and if he wants to keep playing, we got to figure something else out, or what? Can you?
Well, what was the something else? I mean, we never saw an offer. When we were watching this whole thing happen, there was never an offer, not to my knowledge, or from just being a spectator. And you gotta. There's two sides when you negotiate, and you're trying to either stay or you're trying to keep a player. And I know a lot of times that in my situation, I didn't get an offer because they didn't want to disrespect me or want me to feel like that wasn't something that I was going to want. Kind of how it happened with Ty Law when he left with the Patriots, and it becomes a big thing and blows up. And sometimes when you're used to dealing with somebody for so long, you feel like, hey, you could just talk it out, make something happen, have an initial agreement, verbally or whatever, and it'll happen because you've dealt with each other so long with Brady and his representation. So, like I said, I wasn't in the room with those conversations. I just know if things, as far as a contract, probably would have been out there, we would have heard about it. I'm sure that they wanted Brady to stay. I'm not sure for how long. I think that's pretty interesting, and that's important, part. I know Brady, it was tough and emotional for him to pick up and leave somewhere he's been for 20 years. He's made history, and that history will never be duplicated in New England. So, I mean, it was tough on both sides, but I think, if they came together and had those conversations, it was a mutual understanding that they would part ways and go each other's way. I don't think you could put everything on one side.
Yeah, I don't think by any reporting, Ian Rappaport told me yesterday on the air live before, we switched chairs, Willie, on the Wednesday coverage, that the Patriots never did put something on the table, that they wanted to hear from Tom first, that he wanted to stay. And instead, obviously, we all know what happened. What do you think, Willie McGinest here on the Rich Eisen Show, what do you make of the report that Belichick was left a little shocked by Brady saying, I'm leaving? Does that make sense to you?
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe. Nobody expected, in Patriot country for that to happen. Everybody, including myself, thought that the Patriots would have the first shot at, signing Brady back. Now, remember, he's an unrestricted free agent.
Right.
So, with all these different free agents, teams have to submit an offer or to say, hey, this is what we think, this is what we want to do. The Chargers did it, the Bucs did it, I'm sure there's other teams that did it with Brady. They threw an offer out there. We kind of knew what those numbers were. As a coach, if you've been with somebody for so long, like I said, you're kind of used to the same routine. Maybe you are a little surprised if you think this player probably going to leave. But I would be shocked to say he was totally surprised. Bill Belichick is always prepared. I wouldn't say prepared for almost everything because you never know. There's no rule book for certain things that happen in the league and, certain situations that come up. But he's pretty prepared and pretty calculated. He's a smart guy, one of the smartest guys, even outside of football, I've ever met. So, it was a little bit of a shock to all of us initially. But when you saw that he was content, when Tom was content with moving on and, he was kind of excited by the possibilities of what was out there, then it kind of became a reality that he could leave.
Right.
And he did.
And then what do you think Belichick, knowing him, unless you've spoken to him, have you spoken to Bill or Tom in recent days?
I have not spoken to Bill.
Okay. But you have spoken to Tom?
We text. Of course we text.
Okay.
Man. We text when it's not going on,
Okay. And he must be over the moon, right? Ecstatic, excited.
He is. He's excited for the new opportunity. He's going to a competitive conference. He has a lot of respect for Drew Brees and Matt Ryan and Teddy Bridgewater, and those are good teams. And if you know anything about Tom, which I know you do, you know a lot about him, Rich. He's very competitive.
Oh, yeah.
He loves a challenge, and that's what drives him. That's what's driven him his whole career. People telling him what he couldn't do. People said when he turned 38 and 40 what he couldn't do, and all he's done is go on to win championships and MVPs. So this is another chapter in his life, in his family's life, in his football life, and he's excited. He's excited.
And I don't know how deep you got into it with him. I imagine Arians had something to do with it, right? I mean, what do you glean excited him about Tampa? Willie?
Well, I think when you look at the personnel, Tom wants to win. I mean, this is not like a 5-year rebuild, right? So
right.
He wanted to also go somewhere where there was talent. Receivers, the offensive line. There's young ex-players on the staff that Brady played against that he can relate to.
It's amazing.
Arians has a great personality. He's the polar opposite of what Bill is, which is fine. He's an offensive-minded coach, so I'm thinking when they scheme and they game plan with Byron Leftwich, all those things are coming to play. Brady's IQ was very, very high, so I think Bruce Arians respects that. And Byron definitely understands and knows that. Brady's seen and played more football than Byron has, in I don't know, in a few years. So we'll see how that plays out. But there's a lot of other pieces. Defensively, Todd Bowles, they got a lot of confidence in him and that defense.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing them make strides from last year. And they're just a couple of pieces away. I mean, we talk about the receivers and all that, but, I'm sure other players are going to want to come to Tampa or they're going to draft or do whatever they can to put the pieces needed around Tom to make sure he's successful.
I'm going to ask you a sports talk radio question that's going to put you on the spot, Willie. I'm going to do it. I'm just giving you that heads up.
Wow.
You can handle
Let's
it.
do it.
Okay. Next 3 years, I give you a choice of who wins the championship. More likely who wins the championship first, Brady or Belichick? Your answer would be?
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah?
I'm going to say both. I'm going to say both because you didn't specify. You didn't say what type of championship. It's the AFC and the NFC championship. So they both could possibly win a championship, Rich. One in the AFC, one in the NFC. How about that?
Yeah, it's like Tom saying I plead the fifth. It's pretty much what he's saying right there. It sounded like that's
plead the fifth.
There you go. Yeah.
What happens if they meet up in the Super Bowl?
Could you imagine this year?
They're in two different. One AFC, one NFC. It could possibly happen.
Well, in all honesty, Belichick has got that high IQ too, right? He's that competitive SOB too.
no question.
He is a guy who is hearing all this, and I don't think there's enough thumbtacks available or a bulletin board large enough for him to tack up for all the players that are still there, championship quality players that are still there. What do you think his plan for replacing Brady is? What do you think the plan B is, Willie, before I let you go?
I don't think you can replace a Tom Brady. I think you can find a quarterback that suits the system and what you're trying to do.
Well, the question is it Stidham? Is he really going to go and just take lumps, start taking lumps right now and growing pains? Or does he get somebody that can actually get a fountain of youth or a second chance himself? Cam, Andy Dalton, Jameis, like that. Which direction do you think he might go in?
I think it could be any of those options. I think that Bill's going to bring in a guy, one that's going to take care of the football. That's why I kind of don't think it'll be a guy like Jameis Winston. Too many turnovers, and that's important in New England, taking care of the football. It's got to be somebody who's smart, who's tough, who's accurate, and, who can bring that leadership. It can't be a selfish guy to come into that locker room because that's not how the Patriots are built, and that's not what they've been able, to do in the last few, I don't know how many years. It's been about team first. It could possibly be a guy in the draft. Joe Thomas mentioned yesterday on air about, Jalen Hurts, a guy like that. If Bill sees this game changing a little bit, why not bring in somebody that can throw and move the pocket like a Russell Wilson or a Lamar Jackson, or somebody like that, and bring in a veteran for a couple years to, just to hold it down. As far as Stidham, I'm not sure if I've seen enough from him, enough playing time to say he's the guy or he has that experience. I know a lot of people talk, really good about him, but I just haven't seen enough, so I don't know if he's ready. And the expectation is not just to get by in New England. It's championships. It's always been championships, whether we talked about it or not. So they're not going to be content with just bringing in somebody and just, throwing it out there. It's going to be somebody that knows and is willing to work and win and grasp the system and play at a high level.
Willie, you're the man. Thanks for the call. Take care of yourself, your family. Be healthy. Be safe.
You too, Rich. I appreciate you.
Right back at you. That's Willie McGinest. How about that one? What a great one. Jalen Hurts, you take him.
Yeah, buddy.
Does Bill know anybody that might have coached Jalen who he could call him up, chit-chat with?
I think he might know a guy.
I'm telling, that's a great one. I'd be all over that.
By the way,
I love that kid.
You could get Jalen Hurts in the second or third round.
No doubt. You could sit there, take care of your first round pick, and then hope, that he's still there in your second round or move up to get him. I love that kid. You know how I feel about him.
Tampa Bay,
that's
New
a good
England,
one.
Super Bowl.
That's a good one.
I don't know if Willie's just picking that out of thin air either. I like that. Okay, take phone calls when we come back here on the Rich Eisen Show to wrap up this Thursday. Let's take. Oh, there you go. Yeah, HTC Mike.
Emily's engaged.
Wow.
Is that right?
Yeah, we're still friends.
All right. That's
for now until her new husband is just basically going to be, who's this jamoke from New Jersey who keeps texting you?
I don't text her, but we.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah, it's to take you on a ride to Catalina. Well done, Don.
All right, real quick. We didn't get to this in the news real quick, but George R.R. Martin, we know him, right?
Yes, indeed. Game of Thrones.
He told us that he is hard at work finishing the latest Game of Thrones novel.
Great.
It only took a pandemic and quarantine for him to finally finish that book.
Well, didn't somebody say that Isaac Newton once created like the theory of the gravity or something?
Yeah, he was locked up? Shakespeare wrote King Lear during the plague.
Perfect timing. We got Kit Harington all queued up here when Jon Snow was on the show. Check it out. And the man who plays the King of the North, Jon Snow, Kit Harington, here on the Rich Eisen Show. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
That. You bet. Did you know at the time when that happened that you would be coming back to life?
I had a 2-week period where I was pretty silent for those 2 weeks after reading the script. I didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know whether I was out of a job. I pretty much convinced myself I was out of a job. I was like, oh, this was a good series, this was a lot of fun. You got some good money. It was good for a while.
It's a good run. It's
yeah,
a good run.
yeah. Now, you could do other things. And then when they told me that I was coming back, I couldn't have, when you lie to yourself and you're like, oh, I'll be fine. And then you get the news and you go, yes, thank God.
What examples from the past have that you can lay out here is something that they've done for Snow?
I've always commented on how short I am in life. So they keep putting that into Jon Snow. Being small, having a tiny stuff like this. It's just they just want to rip the piss out of you.
How do you consume the shows?
I only watch them once, and I watch them on my own in a dark room, and then.
What do you mean nervous tension?
But I'm whooping and I'm enjoying it, and I'm like, but I'm on my own. It's sad. It's a sad thing.
Do you need a hug right now, kid?
I might do.
Would you like to end with a hug?
Yeah, let's end with a hug.
All right, so here we go. Bring it in.
This is great.
Thank you very much. That's Kit Harington, everybody here. Thanks for coming on. Fun times. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back. Ian Rappaport has come up with, he has firsthand information as to whether the Bucs are interested in bringing Antonio Brown on board with Tom Brady.
Oh.
Okay, that's coming up next.
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show.
Yeah, how you doing there? This is Mo the bartender from The Simpsons over in Springfield. Stay out of the bars, people. Come on. Social distancing. I tell you this, you're only eating takeout food and staying away from people. My life is about to dramatically stay exactly the same as it was.
was Hank Azaria yesterday giving us all what Mo, the bartender, would say about what we need to be doing. Just a little bit of letting our smile be our umbrella for the moment. Let's go to John in Augusta, Georgia. What's on, John? What's on your mind?
Good afternoon, Rich. I want to thank you first and let you know how much we deeply appreciate the decency and the love that you show each and every day on your show. So thank you very much.
John, you kind of hit me right there. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you for saying that. We're all in this together, John. We really are. And that's the thing about this is that we're talking about being social distancing, but we truly need to embrace one another figuratively. We really, really do. And if there's an elderly person in your neighborhood that needs help getting groceries, go volunteer for that if you feel hearty and hale and well enough for it. And I appreciate you saying that.
Amen, brother. And my wife and I already have. And like I was telling the gentleman that I spoke with, this is kind of a twofold thing. First and foremost, my wife works at a local grocery store here in Augusta. And customers are kind of forgetting that not only that they don't control what the stores get, but they're forgetting their manners, and they're kind of taking their frustrations out on the people on the front lines of the grocery stores. And I'd like to ask people to at least replicate what you do on your show each and every day and show a little love and compassion to people and not just constantly take out their frustrations on the people that are readily available.
Please.
Number two, this morning my wife called me, and I'm out working, and she was just so upset. She was crying. It was hard to understand what she was saying.
I'm so sorry.
But a lady came through her line with her order, and she looked at her before she ever started putting the order on the belt, and she said, "I'm sorry. I feel like I need to let you know this, but I've been tested. I don't know if I have the coronavirus yet or not." And my wife kind of froze. She didn't know what to do. And my point being this. First and foremost, just like what the government is telling you, you don't go in a group of 10 or more, and grocery stores need to start limiting people as they come in. They don't need to let 100, 200 people in these grocery stores. It kind of defeats the purpose of saying don't get in groups of 10 or more. The other thing is whether this lady was truthful or not is immaterial. You don't go around and make those jokes at this time and place that we're in, because this stuff is very serious. I'm a almost 61-year-old man. My wife's my age. We are susceptible to it according to what the CDC says. We wash our hands. We're doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. But when you get people that go in these places, whether it's in a grocery store, you're out in public, you just don't blade out these kinds of things. And you especially don't when you're standing less than 6 feet to somebody who's about to ring up your order, and you tell them that you've supposedly been tested for the coronavirus, but you don't know if you have it yet or not. I mean, my wife just went beside herself, and rightfully so. So I at least wanted to call, make the people out there in your radio listeners aware of the fact of, one, please be kind to the people that are out there doing their jobs for you. Just remember that they are just like you are. And number two, at this point in time, the way things are, even if it is a joke, that's not a joke to be taken lightly.
No.
And it's like I told my wife, I said, realistically, that woman made a terroristic threat against you today, and you should call and let your HR office know what has happened.
I agree.
Because whether it would change the type of hours or the type of ways that they could possibly take care of their customers, and like she asked me on the phone, she said, if it were you, because I used to run a grocery store years ago, she said, what would you do? And I said, I would call my HR department. I would tell them that we're going to lock the doors, that we're going to have people phone their orders in, that we'll take an hour to an hour and a half to get them ready, let us know what kind of car you're driving. We'll be glad to bring it out and give it to you. They can pay for the order over the phone. You don't even have to have that initial contact with them anymore.
I appreciate
they can
it.
get their food and they can move home.
And John, thank you for the call, and tell your wife to hang in there, and thank you for what she's doing. And thank you for your call. Most importantly, I don't know if that was a joke. I mean, that's sadistic if it is a joke, but maybe she was being serious. And if so, stay home. Stay home. There has to be some sort of delivery service or something that you can get an app for. Stay home, or get a friend. Last bit of news here. Ian Rappaport saying Bruce Arians, based on his reporting, not interested in bringing Antonio Brown. That doesn't sound like Coach Bruce Arians enjoyed his previous time with AB. Arians, as we all know, is a Big Ben offensive coordinator and quarterback coach for all those years in Pittsburgh. Appreciate everybody calling in today. Sorry we couldn't get to your calls, but everybody, please stay home if you can. Be safe. Love one another. Try not to panic. Let's try and help everybody on the front lines in healthcare facilities. For all of us here at the Rich Eisen Show, let's take this seriously. And we'll see you when we see you next. Thank you.